another day, another episode of the Daily Grind. On today's show, we're going to be talking about PlayStation could be using more hints amidst first-party game sales decline. We're also going to talk about ex-BioWare. Excuse me one second. I don't know what my throat all of a sudden. All right. Ex-BioWare dev suggests product placement to fund games. I think I'm losing my voice like in the middle of me talking right now. I'm like choking over here. And then we're also going to talk about or cover Jason Schreier's last video talking about why games now take 6+ years to make. All right. If you guys like what I do, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning until noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. You hear it? It's like I have something in my throat. I can't get it out. I'm dying, chat. I'm dying on screen. Holy Christ. You have AI 30? Yeah, I guess so. Like I don't know what's happening. Well, we're pushing through it. Voice damage or not, here we go. If you guys like what I do, like I said, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning until noon Eastern. I'm losing my voice, guys. You hear it? It's going. It's going. I have no idea what's happening right now. Have no idea what's happening right now. I might have to go get some tequila. It's like I can't hit the upper octave of my voice. It stops right there. No screaming today. No screaming today. God, I sound awful. I was just sounding fine. I hit live, and all of a sudden, it's not even a water break, Justin. It's it's something. I can't hit my upper octaves. It's like my voice is cracking. I think I'm going through puberty. I finally made it, chat. 48, going through puberty. Maybe, no, I'm the most professional stream on the internet. Look at that. I'm struggling just to speak. Sergeant's going to come in and go, what the hell is wrong with you? All right, let's start off. PlayStation, okay? PlayStation could use more hits amid first-party game sales decline. Now, as the thumbnail showed, I showed this chart right here. This is from Steven Totillo. Okay. He says, what will tomorrow bring? Each year since 2020, Sony has sold millions of fewer copies of games it has developed and published for its PlayStation consoles until a small uptick in the past year, according to data released by Sony and collected by GameFile. At the recent peak of its performance, in the last 12 months between the spring of 2020 and the winter of 2021, Sony sold 58.4 million copies of its games. That's during a remarkable stretch that includes a massive hit of Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, as well as launch of PlayStation 5. 4 years later, in a 12-month cycle including Game of the Year winner Astrobot and the infamous flop Concord, Sony has sold less than half as many first-party games. Okay, the company's most recent total tally first-party PlayStation games sold a PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 from April of 2025 through March of 2026 showed the first improvement of the first in the half decade of up to 32.1 million first-party games sold. I love data. Right? Data comes out, truth comes out. We say stuff, and people think because I say something, I am a hater. Okay, I am a hater. I am a Sony hater. I am an Xbox hater. Ride this one, ride that one. Sleep with whatever plastic box you want. Here's the stats. 58.4 million copies sold. And then in the following year, or in the other years, April 25th to 2026, they sold less than half. 58.4 million copies sold, okay, between 20 and 2021 on the tail end of the PlayStation 5. Or I'm sorry, the PlayStation 4. PlayStation 5 has 90, what'd you guys say? 95 million units. They've sold 32.1 million first-party games sold. Yet the PlayStation fanboys will tell you that Xbox guys don't buy video games. What are we talking about here? This is half of the actual first-party titles with all the great games. It said the modest rebound came in a year that featured a marquee release of Ghost of Yotei, which didn't sell well. Good game, right? Good game, but it didn't sell well. Okay, the decline of the first-party PlayStation games since 2020 can be seen in Sony's own annual financial results, published each May. Since 2020, the company's data has included the total number of units sold as first-party titles. When it began reporting this, Sony even shared historical sums back in 2018. Viewed in total, the steady drop may also solidify a feeling amongst PlayStation observers who've sensed something off about the Sony Gaming Group's performance since the start of PlayStation 5 generation of 2020. Now, these are the same people that will tell you that you're a Sony hater when you just bring up something, right? Like right now, Mando and Grogu, okay, is in the theaters. You could say, hey, I saw the movie, I thought it was good, and I could tell you it's not doing very good. And both things are the same. You could like the movie, and it's not doing very well. Okay? This is what I've always done on my channel. Always done on my channel. I've always talked about the data. People come in and say, oh, you're an Xbot. You hate Sony. You hate Xbox. Whatever side you're on. Makes absolutely no sense. All we talk about here is data, facts, what the industry is doing, okay? And you could tell, you gave it the smell test, right? Astrobot is Game of the Year. It also didn't sell well, right? Last of Us, people loved. A lot of people hated it. A lot of people loved it, but it didn't sell very well. Ghost of Yotei, okay? Didn't sell anywhere close to what Tsushima did. You could like it. You could think it's a great game. You could think it's just as good as Tsushima. It didn't sell as much as Tsushima. Right? These are all things that are true. You could like something and you can also talk about it in a way that tell you it didn't sell well. PlayStation still sells millions of consoles each year and makes multi-million-dollar selling games, but half a decade and the dents of the studio's acquisitions have failed to significantly offset the downward trend in the number of copies. Sony sells its own games. A recent rush of remasters hasn't bent the curve upwards either if it appears. This is another reason that people won't tell you, okay? But the reason that their console prices are going up, they could tell you it's the market conditions. But they have to charge more, okay, for the people that want to play their stuff because they're not selling. They could sell 100 million units. They could sell 120 million units of consoles. Fantastic. But they're not selling their games. They're not selling their first-party games. It's like, I don't understand how people don't see this. Again, you can like the thing, and you can also say it's not selling well. The drop since 2020, what looks like a slowdown, a bona fide Sony back-end hits, is why events like Tuesday's PlayStation State of Play showcase stoked so much enthusiasm amongst fans in Sony game consoles. And that's today, this afternoon at 5 p.m. I will not be covering it live. We'll probably talk about it tomorrow if they show anything with any, hopefully it's good stuff and we can talk about it. More Sony game teams feel due to show up on deliver through whether or not they do or not is to be decided. As any of the data, some caveats and context about Sony's first-party sales decline is needed. Most importantly, the peak year when Sony sold 58.4 million copies was the year that spread the global pandemic. The COVID outbreak triggered worldwide stay-at-home lockdowns, which spiked interest in homebound entertainment, including video games. Yeah, fantastic. Fantastic. There's also at the tail end of PlayStation 4, which had 120 million units out there, 130 million units out there, or whatever the hell it is. Okay. But if that was all just that came down to the pandemic, the total number of games sold on PlayStation console would be down similarly. A check of Sony's data shows they're not. Okay. So there you go. There is some data for you guys showing you over the years. Okay. Now they had their peak in 58, but let's look at all the other times. Right? 2018, they had 54.1, no pandemic there. Then went down to 49.2, no pandemic there. Then went up to 58, there was a pandemic. And then went down to 43, 43.5, 39.7, 28.9, and 32.1. Obviously, people are not buying Sony PlayStation first-party games. Why is that? Okay. 30's really upset about the news. About what news, Kylo? Right? You can see right here the data shows that they're not selling first-party titles. It's amazing, right? Sorry, guys. My voice is a little rough today. Don't know why. Stove God Cooks says, but one has been out longer than the other. No. It has nothing to do... Stove. It has nothing to do with the consoles. It has everything to do... Okay, has everything to do with people not buying games, right? The games didn't raise in price until 2022, 2023, okay? As you can tell, 2023 is when people stop buying $70 games. 2028 is when a lot of people stop buying $70 games, okay? The whole discussion that we have here is the few of people that are the fans, the Uber fans, as we call them, the Sony ponies or the Xbots or the Tentards, okay? Do we call them the Tentards? I think we could call them the Tentards. The fact that people are not buying first-party games, that's what the story is. Not about console sales not selling. It's about the games not selling. Their first-party games are not selling. So when you have a 93.5 million internal base of buying your Sony PlayStation, and yet only 3.3 million people buy Astrobot, or 3.2 million buy Ghosts of Yote, right? There's a fundamental problem with inside your own ecosystem, right? Sony fans make fun of Xbox fans because they have Game Pass and they don't buy their games, but yet Sony guys are not buying the games. Sarge says, because they failed Business 101 and Econ 202. Kyle says, my man 30 is really upset with the news. Oh, you're talking about just your voice, poking fun of your voice. Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know what's happening with my voice. It was fine right before I hit live. And then all of a sudden my voice is like, I'm like struggling over here. Jesse Mack says, in the pandemic, people don't want to buy new games because they're not working at their jobs, and that's why. That's not true either. The pandemic is when they bought the games. Animal Crossing and Nintendo Switch 2 sold oodles and oodles of them. They sold like hotcakes. Altern says it doesn't help that the games cost $70, and most of them are not worth that. Look at Saros, Astrobot, Returnal, Spider-Man 2. They're not worth $70. Yep. The one that just came out, Saros. 300,000 copies. Returnal only sold 2 million copies. And when I say only, I don't want to take away from them because 2 million copies for them, they said was amazing, right? So I'm not taking away from them. But you look at the player base of the actual console. Let's just take consoles in general. I'm sure you could do this same stat if they actually showed it to Xbox and less people buying video games. Why is that? Right? One, it takes really long time to make them the first-party title games. Two, they're $70, $80 video games. Yeah, Stove says, I see what you're saying. $70 is a lot of money nowadays. Imagine 80. Right. And now imagine a $900 system that you have to buy or $800 system just to buy the $70, $80 video games. They've completely wiped out. We're going to see something happen in about 12 to 18 months. We're going to have stories come out, things talked about where they're like, oh, gaming's not what it used to be. Less people are buying video games. No one's buying the console systems, right? You're going to see all these reports, and they're going to blame it on us. They're like, you're not buying the video games. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. I'm not saying no shit to Sherlock to you. What I'm saying is, in general, no shit, Sherlock. We're not buying the video games, and we're not buying the consoles because the consoles are astronomical. Say what you want about the Steam machine that's supposed to come out, right? $600-$700, that's going to sell. $1,000, not going to sell. Steam Deck, $549. No one bought it. Now it's $900. Are all of a sudden these people going to buy it? Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Kyle says the fact that banking on GTA 6 being $80 so they can all change $80 to the mediocrity games is hilarious. Even less will buy, then they'll all just wait for a sale. Right. And here's the best part. We're going to watch a video about Jason Schreier talking about why video games take so long. I haven't watched it yet. Okay. But I'm pretty sure he's going to talk about the 7 to 8 year cycle of video games. Okay. Where video games, if you go back to like what? Look at Mass Effect or Red Dead Redemption, was it 1? Red Dead Redemption 2, right? Well, Red Dead Redemption took 7 years, 7, 8 years. But look at the scale of that. Look at Battlefront 2, right? It didn't take 8 years to develop that game. It came 2 years after the last one in front of it. Okay. Look at the Batman Arkham series back in the day. Right? Batman Arkham came out with like 6 games. Or no, 3 games. Sorry. 3 games in like 6 to 8 years. 3 games in 6 to 8 years. Not 1 game in 8 years. Right? All of these people are talking about video games. They take much longer. They're more expensive. We didn't do that. They did that. I'll do it in a little bit, Sarge. I gotta go make him breakfast anyway. Alter says these guys forgot that they lose money in the hardware to get back in software because software has a bit cheap, and a lot of it is now everything is expensive. I might have to take a break. You know what? Give me a second. We're done with this story. We'll move from this story into the next story. Give me a second. I'm gonna do what Sarge said and go make a tea. Give me a second.
We won't compromise. Hallelujah. Real games never die.
We paid your price. You played your lies. Hundreds of millions just to catch our eyes. Every AAA, another hollow show. You build your towers, we burn them slow. Then clear obscure came with nothing to prove. 10 million fresh blood, a whole new groove. No stars, no gimmicks, just hard and fight. And suddenly your rules don't feel so right.
Hallelujah, we testify. Expedition 33 opened up our eyes. Glory to the players, we won't compromise. Hallelujah, real games never die.
We're done with your greed, done with your hype. Yeah. You lost our trust, we took back our lives.
Expedition 33, you flipped the scene. Showed us the dream was always clean. We told you so, we called your bluff. Your empire's hollow, and now it's tough. Expedition 33, we see the truth. No need for hundreds of millions to capture you. We told you so, we know the goat you stole.
The game is ours, and we want more.
Hi, hallelujah, we testify. Expedition 33 opened up our eyes. Glory to the players, we won't compromise. Hallelujah, real games never die.
You told us, pay full price or fall behind. We chased your trailers, your shiny design. But Claire and the crew, they took the risk and gave us a world that finally feels bliss. We've had enough of your endless grind, your flashy boxes and hollow mind. Now we cheer for the ones who dare to make a game that's truly fair. We're done with your greed, done with your hype. You lost our trust, we took back our life.
Expedition 33, you flipped the scene. Showed us the dream was always clean. We told you so, we called your bluff.
Yes, Morgan Park. Yeah. Whoa. Suicide Squad. 8 hours deep in Suicide Squad. Morgan says this ain't so bad, my God. Not the disaster folks declared online. Maybe the squad just needed time, but gamers looked up from the comment section dark, and somebody whispered, that's Morgan Park. Every time he says, hey, this game's okay, studios stop praying things stay that way. It's the Morgan Park effect again. Another game meets a strange new end. He loads it up and says, I'm sold. Next week the player count runs cold. Morgan Park, Morgan Park, dropping hot takes after dark. When he says, this game's got heart, the harvesters panic. It's Morgan Park. Uh-oh, Concord this weekend. 7 hours deep and he's back again. I kinda want back in, he said with the spark. Somewhere servers flickered in the dark. Developers staring at the charts saying, did that review come from Morgan Park? It's the Morgan Park effect again. Another headline, gaming trend. He says it's fun and plays a lot. Suddenly the internet says it's not. Morgan Park, Morgan Park, lighting fires with a restart. When he says this game's got heart, studios whisper Morgan Park. Star Wars Outlaws, 5 hours ghosting past stormtroopers, running jobs like a rebel looter. Star Wars Outlaws winning him over slow. From skeptical start to hey, let's go. But somewhere deep in the galaxy far, executives stare at the Morgan Park star. Assassin's Creed Shadows. At 6 hours in Assassin's Creed Shadows night, running rooftops under lantern light. After the wait and the endless debate, Morgan says, folks, it was worth the wait. Oops of glances at the charts and charts. Did that quote come from Morgan Park? Then comes Highguard, calm and stark. Maybe ignore the internet, says Morgan Park. It's fine when the noise isn't in your ear, but gamers everywhere suddenly fear, because history's written in broken hearts whenever a game meets Morgan Park. Then the marathon server slam took his weekend. 21 hours later he's believing again. Started with me, ended with praise, and Bungie slowly checks the player base. It's the Morgan Park effect again. A review that gaming can't defend. He plays all night, says this one's fun, and suddenly the memes have begun. Morgan Park, Morgan Park, giving strangers lucky charm. When he says this game's got heart, the industry holds its breath for Morgan Park. So if Morgan says your game is great, maybe, just maybe, delay the update.
Guard signs off after decades strong. Phil walked the road, tried to right what felt wrong. Built Game Pass Thunder, made the Xbox roll. But the winds of change knocked right on the door. Now Asher's here with a vision to cast, from Corey Eye to the gaming mast. Says she'll listen, learn, and keep fans inside. Console first, keep hardware tight. Brand souls on the line, hearts in every home. Gamers wonder if they'll stay or roam. From cloud to box to screens untold, trust isn't cheap, and it's never sold.
All right. Sorry about that, guys. Who's Morgan Park? He's a journalist that, if you listen to the song, it tells you exactly who Morgan Park is. He's the guy who wrote 6 different articles telling you the game was fantastic, and then it closed down or shut down or sold miserably. All right. Hopefully my voice sounds better. It's still going to be cracking, but whatever. All right. We're going to be talking about and reacting to Jason Schreier's video. Okay. Jason Schreier, journalist, does good work, and then other times he tells you that, eat it, chuds, because of Veilguard. So apparently being a journalist is working out, and so he's becoming a YouTuber now, which is fine. No shade. But I think he sees the writing on the wall, and that's why he's making the move over to YouTube, which is smart because he's got 42,000 subscribers, which I've been on this platform for a decade, and I'm not even at 3,000. So, there you go. So apparently, if I talk to you like you're 5, then everyone will understand me better when I've been saying the exact same things, because I watch his other videos. And all he's doing is just saying the exact same things that most of us have been saying for the better half of a decade. But now he's, in layman's terms, explaining it to you. So we'll see how that works out. I think it'll work out great for him because he's got credibility because he is a journalist, right? So this is why games now take 6+ years to make. Okay. Jason Schreier's link is in the description down below. We always cover videos on this channel. We cover news stories. All the links that we cover are in the links in the description down below. If you guys like their stuff, go over to their stuff. Go give it a click, give it a like, give it a sub. Appreciate it very much. And let's see what Jason Schreier has to say.
Week I did a video about why video games have gotten so expensive to make, and I did a little bit of napkin math to kind of calculate the burn rate that studios go through, which, if you remember, you can go check out the
I have faith Rise of Hydra will show either at the State of Play or Summer Game Fest QAs. It said there's a chance we see it at today's SOP.
I hope so. Thank you very much for the $5 super chat. I hope we see it because it's been dead silent for like two years. They showed that Unreal Engine 5 demo. Actually, it's been like 3 years. They showed the Unreal 5 engine demo a couple years ago, and then it kind of just went silent. So hopefully we see Hydra. We'll see. Thank you very much for the $5.
video, but just as a quick refresher, it's essentially labor costs, which is not just people's salaries, but also their benefits and other added expenses.
I missed what he said.
Hello. So last week I did a video about why video games have gotten so expensive to make, and I did a little bit of napkin math to kind of calculate the burn rate that studios go through, which, if you remember, you can go check out the video, but just as a quick refresher, it's essentially labor costs, which is not just people.
Yes, it is labor costs, but at the same time, it's labor costs that they're, first of all, these companies are in one of the most, some of them, not all of them, obviously, there's a lot of studios, but a lot of these studios are in the most expensive cities and states in our country, hence why the average salary gets you, like, let's say $120,000. $120,000 in Kansas is huge compared to $120,000 in Manhattan or San Francisco, right? So these rising costs of these video games, I don't know, maybe, just maybe, if you're a person that's making a video game and you can make the same game for a third of the cost because of the city you're in, maybe you shouldn't give the studio that you're giving it to that lives in a city that's getting paid $120,000, $180,000, $200,000, and there's 1,000 people, and it costs $250 million to $300 million to make your video game. I don't know.
salaries, but also their benefits and other added expenses such as overhead, costs of office rent, and I don't know, studio supplies, stuff like that.
Studio supply. That's right. Office supplies. Office supplies. They have to buy the number 2 pencils and a bind of paper. That's why video games are going up $200 million. What are we talking about?
Benefits and other added expenses such as overhead, costs of office rent, and I don't know, studio supplies, stuff like that, office supplies. But it's almost entirely labor costs. And that's how we're getting into this world where games are costing $200, $300, $400 million to make.
Guys, I don't know if you know this, but to do my YouTube channel, I have to have costs. I have hidden costs. I have switches and microphones and background stuff because I could be in an empty room, but I have to fill it with stuff. And then I got controllers and volume switches, and I have a computer in front of me and a camera and stuff like that. Here's the thing. Here's the king. Nobody cares. Nobody cares of why it costs the way it costs. Okay? All we care about is a product actually works. That's it. That's it. The customer doesn't care if the mouse they bought is $5 or if it's $500. Okay? We don't care. We just want the mouse to work. We just want the keyboard to work. We want the video game to work.
But something that I didn't do, I was playing around with the numbers a little bit and talking about how games, the more time you take in a game, the more expensive it is. But something I didn't do is explain how we've gotten to the point where games are now taking 4, 5, 6, 7+ years to make. And so I wanted to address that today.
I want to pause that for a second. 2012. How long was game development? Okay, in 2012, the average game development cycle for a mainstream AAA title took 2 to 3 years. What happened to a company that made a AAA title in 2 to 3 years 15 years ago than today? I thought that Unreal Engine 5 was making it easier for people to make video games, right? To cut the time down, to make games easier. Was it not right? Right? So 2012, it was 2 to 3 years. Let's go 2014. 2014, 2 to 3 years. Okay, let's go 2016. 2 to 3 years. Now, standard release, while large-scale AAA games took 3 to 5 years. Now you see where the shift went, right? So from 2012 to 2016, now AAA games went from 2 to 3 years to 3 to 5 years. Now, let's go 2 more years. All right, let's go 2 more years. Video game development generally took 2 to 5 years. A major commercial release in 2018, however, exact time frame depends heavily on it, right? Ranging from 1 to 2 years. Small independent titles to 5 to 8 years for massive high-budget blockbusters, right? 1 to 2 years for independents, 5 to 8 years in 2018. Let's go 2020. 2020, games took between 3 to 5 years for major console. All right, major consoles. Let's go to 2022. Okay. Game development cycles range anywhere between 6 months for simple mobile games to 5+ years to major AAA titles, with overall industry average typically falling between 2 to 4 years. Do you see the problem? Did we make the problem? Did the customers make the problem? Don't think so. I think the problem was the actual people making the video game. They said they wanted to make a video game that they made Batman Arkham. Remember the graphics then? Remember Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2, 2015 and then 2017? Oh, I'm sorry, 2016 and 2018, right? Photorealism. Look at the game. Look how good the graphics were. Look how high fidelity it was. Look at God of War 2018. That didn't take them 5-7 years to make. But for some strange reason, all games now take 5 to 7 to 8 years to make. Make it make sense. I thought game development was getting easier. You have more people doing the work. You have easier tools to do the stuff better. I didn't ask for better graphics, by the way. Right? Maybe you did, right? The best graphics I've ever seen are still back in the year 2018. I don't know. It's crazy.
I've written about to the point where games are now taking 4, 5, 6, 7 plus years to make. And so I wanted to address that today. I've written about this a little bit, and I'll throw in, as usual, some Bloomberg articles that you can check out in the YouTube description, because I am still a full-time reporter at Bloomberg News, so please support my work by reading it. But I do want to break this down a little bit, and I sent a few texts out. I asked a few people that I know in the...
That's the difference between Jason Schreier and pretty much everyone else. He's got connections, and he can make a phone call to people to find out if, what's happening here, and he gets, actual, where my point is looking and reading the room, where we see an article, read between the lines, see what's happening, and then the truth comes out because people like himself write the articles and stuff like that. But it's amazing how close or how spot on I am for a lot of the stuff that's happening by not even interviewing the people, just reading between the lines of when they actually speak.
Games industry to kind of make sure that I had all my facts straight and the context here. The short answer to the question, why do games take so long to make now, is a lot.
Greed. That's why. Upper management's bad. Greed. Corporate suits. Has nothing to do with the developers. The reason games take longer now is because people are greedy and they want the most money possible, and they're shifting things around in the corporate world.
Of reasons. There are a lot of factors, and every game is the kind of confluence of all sorts of disrupting factors that you could see if you check out. If you're really interested in this world and you're in it for the long haul, you should check out the Psych Odyssey documentary series, which is free on YouTube. You have to be willing to commit because it's very long. It's something like 20, 25 hours, but it's essentially...
What is that? I'm diving in.
Actually, a 33 episode behind the scenes look at the making of Psychonauts 2, and it will show you how a game can blow up to 6 years through all sorts of twists and turns.
6 years. Do you understand they made the Lord of the Rings trilogy in less time? They made the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And I bring up movies because movies are a lot like video game, right? Movies, if you did no pre-production and just went into it, okay, it would take you a lot longer. But before you do production, you do pre-production. We've talked about this on this channel before, right? Pre-production is one of the most important things, right? It's almost like making, in layman's terms, it's like making a checklist when you're going on a big trip with your family, right? You got kids, right? You got to get the dog. You got to make sure the house is in order, right? So you make a checklist for yourself, right? And as you're getting ready for leaving your house or going on vacation, you go down the checklist, right? You like packed my socks, my underwear, my shirts, lowered the air, right? Feed the dog, whatever, okay? That's a pre-production list. In the video, in the movie space, pre-production, okay, is taking the script that they wrote, and you go down and so if a sentence says opening scene in a saloon, okay, in a saloon with in a desert town, guess what you have to do? You got to build the saloon and you got to build the desert town. And if you don't want to build it, then you have to go find, okay, a saloon and a desert town, okay? So you have to put that, and you're like, okay, we have to build that. So you highlight everything, right? You highlight all the stuff you have to build. You have to highlight all the stuff you have to buy. You have to highlight all the stuff you're going to film, right? And you do this for months, and you break down the script. So then when you give it to someone, they go, okay, they give you a budget. Then they take the budget, and then you make the goddamn thing. That way you know what you're making. That's not what's happening in the video game space. The video game space is flying by the seat of your pants, right? Look at Star Citizen. 14 years, still in alpha. They decided they were going to make this game, right? 42, whatever it was. And now we are 14 years later, and they still haven't made 42, right? They're working on everything else because they see something else like, oh, we're going to add that. We're going to add this. Look at Fortnite. 8 years to make Fortnite. Save the world. Bombed in 2 months. They switched over to Fortnite Battle Royale, and they constantly just update Battle Royale, Battle Royale. There's no pre-production. There is no planning. It's, that looks fun. Put it in the game. Then there's upper management involved. Then there's middle management involved. Then there's upper management involved, and the devs are like, well, what are we doing? This is exactly what's happening in the video game industry. Not the devs. It really doesn't have anything to do with the devs as far as, well, their salaries are the same. They're still expensive, but it's the people running these things. Because if they're telling them to do something over here, and they're like, no, change that. We're doing this. Oh, now we're doing live service. Oh, now we're doing single player. Oh, now we're doing a live service again. That's how it fucks up everything. That's how the budgets accrue. That's how it keeps ramping up. And that's why it takes 5, 6, 7 years. And your game comes out and you're like, what the hell is this?
Along the way. But again, I want to provide a little bit of info here. So it's a lot of factors, and I want to break down at least a few of them. This is not a comprehensive list by any means, but it is a list of some of the major factors that could contribute to a video game taking 6+ years to make. So let's go through them. Let's go through, I have a list of, I don't know, about 6 of them. Let's go through 6 of them. Number 1 reason why games take so long these days: increased graphical fidelity.
That's their problem. Increased fidelity for video games is not our problem. That's their problem. They decided they wanted to make higher fidelity games. They wanted to make higher fidelity games and then making AI make frames in between so it looks better. They don't have to do this. They do this.
Be the obvious one, and this is the one that most people point to when it comes to games taking a very long time. So what does that mean? Games look prettier than they ever.
I can name, let's see, 2018, Battlefront 1, better than the other ones. Star Wars, Battlefield 1, Battlefront 2, Battlefront 1, Red Dead Redemption 1, Red Dead Redemption 2. These are all before 2018, by the way. These are all before 2018. Why is it taking longer to make crappier graphics than those games?
Have. More fidelity essentially means more complexity. It means more specialization is required, and it means you need more people to make a game, and it means that those people need more time. What used to take 1 or 2 artists can now require a whole suite of people, an entire room full of people, lighters and tech.
I have a question. In the film industry, again, I'm gonna correlate a lot of stuff for the film industry. If I'm on an independent project and I'm the only camera guy and they can't afford to give me a first AC or a second AC, then I have to walk my ass back to the truck. I have to keep all the stuff on me. I'm working by myself. It would take longer because now I don't have anyone grabbing the thing for me or help me with this thing. But now they have a little budget. So now they hire a second AC. So now the second guy helps me to help my job be easier so I can produce the thing that the director's asking. How in the world is putting more people on the thing take longer to do? If I have to lift a heavy object and it takes me a long time to go back and forth to lift a heavy object, okay, but then I ask a friend and pay him with a case of beer, and then 2 of us are doing it, that would take faster to do it, would it not? In what world of the specialization does it take longer to do something when you have more people working on the project? Maybe I'm wrong here, okay? But when you have more people working on something and they're all working on the same thing, that thing would be done a lot faster than if it was working on one by one.
Technical artists and VFX. What used to take 1 or 2 artists can now require a whole suite of people, an entire room full of people, lighters and technical artists and VFX artists. You might need 10 people to do what took 1 person in the past, and it might take them a week to do what might have taken a day in the past. Look, this seems obvious.
But the question is, if it took them a day before, and now it takes them a week to do it, and it looks worse off than it did when they worked on it for a day in the past, then why are we doing this? It seems like a self-inflicted wound, does it not?
But it's worth pointing out, when you shoot a movie, you don't need to build every single tree or plate or cabinet in the...
El Dente says, it's the I can pay one Picasso level artist a shit ton, and I can hire 12 artists that only paint with crayons, and they need to reach the level of Picasso. In your example, right? In your example, name a game that looks better than Star Wars Battlefront 2 right now. Battlefront 2 took 2 years to make. Let's say 4 years, because Battlefront 1 was already made, and they did it off the backbone of that to Battlefront 2, right? So let's give them 4 years. Why does a game that takes 7 to 8 years take longer and look shittier? So if you're paying Picasso-level artists, instead of paying one Picasso guy, you're paying 12 Picassos, or you're paying 12 guys to look like one Picasso. Why are you paying 12 Picassos or wannabe Picassos if you could just pay one Picasso? If the 12 guys take just as long, if not longer than the one guy, then what's the reason? Self-inflicted, isn't it? Sarge says, the Twilight Zone, bro. More people working on the same project takes longer now. It goes against the normal properties of physics. Yeah, I don't get it.
Background. In a video game...
But the 12 guys cost less than half? Then why does the game cost 4 times more? Do you understand what I'm saying? If you're getting the 12 guys to do the same job as one guy, then why does the game cost way more if they're doing it less than half? Because of profits. Profits for the company, not profits, right? So you're saying they're taking the money that they would hire these people, and instead of hiring an actual correct person to do it, they're embezzling the money? Is that what you're saying? They're taking the money for themselves?
You do. And what once you could get away with kind of abstracting, now because of increased graphical...
All right, hold on. Mr. Z says, my brother designs high-end speakers. He thinks $600 headphones are better. The devs think all new graphics / lighting looks better. Okay, but if it looks better, how come it's not better? And then why does it take 3 times longer than the less graphical than the thing that came out almost a decade ago? And this is me not doing a sip of thing because I was being smart ass or something. It's my throat's dying and I needed a drink. Crowd says, yeah, I heard someone else make the same point. He said, why did Spider-Man 2 take 4 to 5 years, $300 million when mostly reused assets from the first game and Miles Morales? Yeah, it doesn't make sense, Crowded. The only thing that makes sense, like logically, right? Let's think that logically, right? What you just said. Why would it take Spider-Man 2 longer than the original Spider-Man when all the assets are already there? Let's think about this. What would be some of the reasons? Let's break it down, right? Some of the reasons would be, well, less talented people. New people came in. Maybe they didn't know what they did before. 2, upper management doesn't know how to do the stuff, right? Just poorly managed situation. No pre-production type of stuff to do. So they didn't know what they were working on. They changed things on the fly because the people that are working on it don't know what they're doing. These are things that come to mind when something that was already out was half the money, and then the second thing comes out, it's twice the money, takes double the length, and the assets are already there. Kylo says, because devs nowadays suck, and they're fired all veterans because they also cost too much, and they don't have the veteran leaders to help out. This is my guess. Yeah, but Kylo, you're absolutely right, a part of that, right? But if you're firing, as El Dente said, the Picasso, you're getting rid of the Picasso, right? You're the higher end veteran game designer because he costs too much. But now you're hiring 12 smaller guys that don't know what they're doing, and yet they're still getting a way high price of salary, and the end product is not as good. That seems like a lost all around, doesn't it? Why do it? Ron Slusher says gaming died after the death of the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. Mr. G says, like writers, they glaze themselves. Sarge says, we're supposed to just forget 8 years of econ and business classes just to say the business works differently now. Take a drink, that's Reforge's move. Yeah, I wasn't doing that. I wasn't doing that. My actual throat's like I'm losing my voice. All right.
Fidelity requirements for these biggest games, you have to model and build and spend a lot of time making, even if a player is only going to see it for like a split second. And
that's any game, though. Why is the detail? God, I'm trying to think of a game that it came out recently that took like 3 years to make. Why is the detail in that game like good, and yet the game that took 7 years is not as good?
if you don't, I mean, you're probably going to get yelled at on the internet. You won't get as high a rating. Player expectations have kind of gone up with this graphical fidelity
Minecraft. Minecraft is one of the most popular games in the world. Roblox is one of the most popular games in the world. Fortnite is one of the most popular games in the world. None of these games are high fidelity.
expectation. I want to read, I got a really fun kind of example from someone I know who works in the games industry who didn't want to be named, but this person is pretty high up at a AAA games company. And I asked him, hey, why do you think games take longer? And he was talking a little bit about the graphical fidelity thing. He brought up Final Fantasy IV, the Super Nintendo game that was called Final Fantasy II here in North America. And there's a scene in Final Fantasy IV, if you haven't played it, where these two characters, Palom and Porom, turn into stone, saving the party. And it's this emotional moment. The music swells. It's really cool.
Okay.
They're in this little room, and it affects you, despite the fact that it's like tiny SNES pixelated graphics. And this person was telling me, at most, he thinks 5 people made that scene happen at most.
So then why change it? Everything that he just described right now, I don't know what he's going to say next, okay? But everything he just said right now, if Final Fantasy 2 or 4, right, wherever you are in the world, was emotional and people loved it and it was the NES graphics, then why change it?
So it was probably less than 5 people. Whereas nowadays, if you had to recreate that in a modern game with like the fidelity expectations of a modern gamer, you would need a concept artist. You would need modelers, high-res modelers. The characters would need to be...
Why? 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 People love the story. If the story's good... Now, see, here's the thing. If the story is good, then you don't need graphics. Right? If the gameplay is good, then you don't need graphics. You don't need high fidelity if the gameplay is good. You don't need high fidelity if the story's good.
Skinned and rigged and animated. You would need shader specialists for the clothes that they're wearing. You would need physics specialists.
I love how we put specific names. I don't know if you guys know this. I'm a YouTube specialist. I'm a streamer specialist. Right? Because I've been doing this so long, I'm a specialist. So now, because I've been doing this so long, now you have to pay me more money because I'm a specialist. Yeah, but what does your work show? The guy that's not a specialist does better work than the specialist, then why do I need the specialist?
Support their hair. You need a sound.
El Dente says, Hollow Knight, Animal Well, Mina the Hollowers, are all those high fidelity? That's what I'm saying.
Sound designer, you need cinematics, animators, and designers. You need a narrative designer. You need a lighter for the scene, a tech artist, a VFX artist. You need some programming support for the scene and for the transitions in and out of cutscenes. You would need writers for the scenes, of course. You would need a voice actors for the characters.
I appreciate what Jason's doing. Like, he's breaking it down to people that don't understand why someone on Twitter says, fuck this game. It's bullshit and it's broke. He's coming in here telling you why it costs a lot, so don't get upset. That's basically what he's doing. Okay? We've been doing this on the space the entire time. The entire time. We've been telling you why games take more, why they cost more, why the upper management sucks, why a game takes 7 to 8 years to make. Him coming out here and doing this for the first time because he's new on the channel is not new stuff. It's just being delivered in a new way because he's a person that's been writing about the industry for as many years as probably I've been on YouTube, right? And I believe on one of his other videos, he said he got his break because of Destiny. Okay, that's how he got the big swell of people. Okay, because he broke a story, which gives him credibility. We've talked about this in the past, right? Like if I had a blog or if I wrote for stuff, maybe I would be in the same situation. I'm not, but nothing that I've said over the decade that I've been on the air on multiple podcasts and different things, he's not saying anything different. Nothing different. It's just being delivered in a completely different way.
You need a director for the performance, a casting director for finding the actors, audio
Thanks for letting me know how business works.
mastering, audio direction, composer, orchestra. And also that room that is portrayed in Final Fantasy IV as like essentially a little square box that has nothing in it.
What's up? Yeah, give me 5 minutes and then I'll go. All right.
That would need to be, if you're looking at that in 3D, that would need to be a full-on room with like its own design and props and its own.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to break this down for a second. Then I'm going to take a quick break again because I have to go make my son some breakfast. Okay. What he's talking about, let's think about this. Okay. Think about everything that you buy in the world. What he's doing right now is nonsense. Nonsense. Why do eggs cost more today? Well, you see, the chickens that have to be grown, the feed that comes from the guy that it ships it over and he has to drive the feed to the thing. Then you have to take a guy who's a specialist at feeding chickens to feed the chickens. And then the specialist to make sure the chickens are getting water specialist for chickens. And then you have to get the specialist to grab the eggs for the thing. Then you have to get another specialist to put the eggs in a carton. And then you have to take the specialist cart guy and then he's got to put them in a box. And then the specialist box guy has to take bring it to the visual artist effects guy that's in the actual truck. And then the specialist truck guy has to deliver it to the actual specialist stores. And that's why eggs cost a lot. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Why are we breaking down why video games cost more by, there's a visual effects guy and a different thing? The normal person looks at the price tag and says $70. Okay, $70 now, $80, $100 game. They put it in and they go, why is it crashing? Why is it broke? Why is it buggy? Why do I have to wait 12 months for it to be fixed? Why do I have to wait 18 months for it to be fixed? Why do I have to wait 24 months for it to be fixed? Why are these things happening? Well, it's because of all these people, right? Like, what are we doing? On that note, I'm going to take a quick break, go make lunch or make breakfast for my son, and then we'll come back and talk more.
To explain. Wake up in the Cosmodrome rain, a dead earth calling out your name. Ghost says, Guardian, rise again. No map, no guide, just fire in your hand. The dark below, we fought in caves. Hive kings crawling from ancient graves. House of wolves, betrayal lines. Prison of elders, one more try at a time. We were lost, but we believed. In the light we couldn't see. We were chasing light through time. Every loss still felt like mine. From broken stars to burning skies, we kept on fighting, never asking why. Oh, eyes up, don't fade away. We're more than the ghosts of yesterday. Through every rain and every sign, we were chasing light through time. Then came the king, the taken rise. Oryx falling from
wastelands cry, silver spreading like a lie. Salvation forged in fire and steel, we learn what pain could really feel. Every white, every fall, we still answered when they called. We were chasing light through time. Every scar became a sign. From the ball of glass to the final line, we kept on pushing past the climb. Oh, eyes up, don't lose your way. The traveler still lights up the gray through every rain and every sign. We were chasing light through time. Red war hit, we lost it all. The tower burned, we took the fall. Then curse of Osiris, war mind flame, trying to rebuild a broken name. Forsaken struck like a knife in the dark. Katie's laughter left a mark. We hunted.
All right. Appreciate it, guys. Sorry about that. What's going on first? What's going on, Wonder Rose? Good morning. Let me see what you guys are saying real fast before we play again. Crowd says, I think the game tech advanced too quickly for its own good. Sarge says $80, no physical product. Crowd also says the people putting out the money don't give a shit and people are buying the games anyway. So stop buying the games. End of story. Yes. Yes. That's what we talk about all the time here. Right? All right, here we go.
Level artists and designer and lighting. It can't just be empty. You'll need tech designers. You'll need QA, et cetera, et cetera. So, like,
QA meaning you guys, where you're not getting paid, you're actually paying to Q&A test for them.
this is what we're talking about these days, which has only gotten more and more pronounced over time. So that's reason one.
Pronounced meaning worse.
Graphical fidelity. Reason two kind of springboards on that, which is the bigger your team gets, and as we just established, it needs to get bigger to keep up with these expectations, the harder it is to manage.
No, it's not. No, it's not. You have to have actual managers that actually know how to deal with actual people and what they're supposed to do. That's what happens, right? Instead, you have people getting promoted that have no managerial experience, don't know how to do anything, let alone be a developer. They don't understand a developer's position, let alone being a manager position. So now they're down by 2. They don't know how to manage, and they don't understand the devs.
The more people you have on the team, the more managers you need, the more producers you need, the more time you need to put into making sure everybody is communicating. Something I've heard pretty consistently from AAA studios is how difficult it is to communicate and to make sure everyone's on the same page. And one of the reasons for that is that game development has so many little decisions that just need to be made all the time.
So if you have specialists, let's say you have visual arts, 12 guys in the visual art department. You have one person in that department that is the only person. Let me break it down this way. You guys ever play Hell Let Loose? Or been in the military? I've never been in the military. But in each group, there's a leader. And that leader has the chain of command to only talk to the guy above him. All these other people do not get to talk to the other guy above him. They get to talk to their leader. Their leader, right? That's fine, Z. 12 guys. I managed 120 guys. 120 people I managed. Okay. The 12 guys, the 100 guys all speak to the head person of that department. So any concerns that they have, they speak to him. He takes those concerns and goes to the other guy. And then those people are the ones that sit in the meeting. And they go, this is a concern from the visual department. Okay, blah, blah, blah. He comes back. He communicates to his team. This is not hard. This has been working since the beginning of time. Okay? You have a group of people. They talk to one person. That one person talks to the next person. You know what also works like this? Oh, that's right. Politics. Okay? Instead of everyone screaming, you go talk to your congressman. And then your congressman represents you, and then they go talk to somebody else. And that's how things get done. But people don't want to talk. They just want to bitch about the actual thing. Right?
So many just kind of both big and small decisions that are just constantly being made, and trying to communicate that across an entire team can be really difficult. A lot of people try to have wikis and design documents that often a lot of people don't read. A lot of people use tools like Jira, which keep track of tasks, and a lot of people just don't update it because it's kind of a pain if you're trying to.
How is a thing that you're using supposed to be more convenient and then you don't use it?
Do a bunch of work. The last thing you want to think about is like going and updating your Jira tasks or what.
Is that their job? Is their job to make sure things are happening, but they don't want to do it because it's a pain in the ass? What are we talking about here, guys?
Whatever. So that's a whole challenge in and of itself. I mean, here's a good example of that. Bethesda Game Studios. They made Skyrim, which was put out in 2011, still considered one of the greatest games ever made, an open world RPG. They made that with around 100 people. Whereas Starfield, their most recent game, which came out in 2023, was made by a team of around 400, 500.
4 to 5 times more people than Skyrim to make a worse game. Amazing. Amazing, chat. 100 people made Skyrim one of the most beloved games ever. 2011, 2012 it came out, right? Starfield comes out 12 years later, worst off 500 people. Amazing.
100 people. Skyrim, you could fit all those people in a room. They could work together, and they were all in the same studio. They were all in Bethesda's Maryland studio, whereas Starfield was made by studios. I believe they have 4 studios, not to mention all the co-dev and outsourcing that worked on that game.
That's what we call bloat, Kylo, right? That's what we call bloat. 4 to 5 times more ass. That's right. Just bloat. People that did worse jobs. People that they didn't know what they were doing. Wasting time, bloating up the money.
So we're talking about exponential increases in team size, and that leads inherently to just more time. The bigger a team, the harder it is to manage.
I'm so confused here. I'm so confused here. These developers need to go watch how a building is done. Okay? Imagine, even though when you look at construction workers, there's like one guy digging a ditch and 4 guys standing around watching him dig a ditch. Okay? Imagine if all 4 people were digging the ditch. But he's a specialist, right? He's a ditch specialist. That's why he's doing it. And the other guys are standing around because they're not specialists. Right? They're just going to stand around and watch the person dig the hole because he's the digging specialist. Okay? Imagine if all 4 people dug a hole. That hole would be done faster. Imagine managing the 3 guys. The 5th guy walks up and says, "Hey, what are you 3 doing?" And they're like, "We're watching the specialist dig a hole." And they're like, "What about if you got the extra shovel, the tool, Unreal Engine 5 here, and help him dig a ditch?" Be like, it's not my job. I'm just going to sit here and wait. Great. I'm a manager. I'm telling you what to do. Let's get this so this is done faster. Right? No, that doesn't happen. Nope. It's longer with more people. Longer with more people. Think about assembly line. Right? You're doing this. Right? If I didn't have an assembly line, I would have to pick it up and then walk. And then walk back. Right? More people shouldn't be longer. More people should be shorter.
Also, springboarding off of this is explanation number 3, which is that scopes are bigger than ever. Players are expecting these vast worlds.
No, players are not expecting vast worlds. Players are expecting for a game to work. You, the developers, the video game publishers, the companies, they have the expectations to build something up, right? The bar doesn't... we always talk about the bar here, guys. The bar is the bar, right? So let's just say Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out and it's graphically the same as Grand Theft Auto 5, but just a little bit more. Not this much more, just a little bit more, right? They change a couple things in the back end. It doesn't have to look super fucking beautiful. It doesn't have to look photorealistic. They put those expectations on it. We don't put the expectations on it. They start advertising to us, and then we're like, oh, that looks cool. Right? They decide to do it.
with skill trees and crafting and puddles that reflect perfectly. Not to mention just kind of like
First says, if I only focused on my specialty in my job and didn't help in the other areas, the customer's experience would be worse. But don't tell developers this first, right? You have to have a specific specialist, and you have to hire 10 more specialists to come in so the game can take longer. That's what Jason Schreier is saying, right? This is what he's reporting on, saying that the more people you bring in, the longer the project's going to take because it's harder to manage more people instead of everyone being on the same team and working together to complete the thing. They're all fighting each other internally.
Design that is executed in a really cool and interesting way. And there's good reason players should expect that. I mean, players should expect big things and good things, but scopes need to swell and increase to account for that.
No, they don't need to swell. They can just stay the same. Tell me the difference between the Batman series that came out. Why is Batman Arkham, or what is it, Arkham? Is it Arkham City Knight? I forget the order, right? They're all after the first one. Are they 10 times graphically more intense? No. No, they're not.
And you can't get away with just being like, it's very rare to be able to be like, actually, we're just making a small scale thing. This is only going to be a 10 to 15 hour experience. And we'll see. I think some game publishers out there are trying to pursue that and see if they can get away with it. And we'll see how well that works. But like when we're talking about these budgets that have increased to $300-400 million, you have to sell a lot of copies just to make a profit. And if you need to sell 5-10 million copies to break even, you have to reach a very wide audience. You cannot make decisions that would limit the audience of your game. And so your scope is increasing. You are trying to hit that checklist of like AAA features that every AAA game has to have. And that winds up just adding a whole lot of time to your game. I think scope is when combined with graphical fidelity, the scope of these games is really striking.
The industry is doing this to themselves, right? Doing this to themselves.
I think graphical fidelity, if you were just to pursue graphical fidelity but limit your scope, you might be able to cut down your time a little bit. But those two kind of in conjunction, I think, cause a lot of problems. Another thing, we'll get to reason number 4, another thing that has come up in recent years is just technical challenges. Whenever you are switching game engines, an engine, for people who aren't familiar, you've probably seen that.
No one says you have to switch game engines. Look at Helldivers 2. They're working with a broken. It doesn't even exist anymore. It's being held together with toothpaste and tape. Right? Very successful game. Bethesda, using the same creation engine that they've used, and they've updated through the years. Right? Remember, Unreal Engine this is amazing to me. Unreal Engine is supposed to help production in video games and also movie making. Yet Unreal Engine has done nothing but destroy Hollywood and also destroy video games. Make it make sense to me, chat.
The name engine, and you've probably seen it used in a lot of wrong contexts, but an engine is essentially just a host of technology, a suite of technology that is used as a framework for your game, and is essentially what you are using to build your game. Could be a bunch of tools in there, could be various pipelines and graphical renderers and all sorts of stuff that is essentially...
Roic says, our shop won't use the equipment they have on the floor to make their job easier. So when I design something, I have to do it the hard way. It's crazy stupid. But why? But why? If you have, that's like, I gotta hammer a nail in, but I don't have a hammer, so I use my iPad instead. Like, what do we talk? Or do I have to bring a hammer specialist in? Maybe that's what I got to do. I got to bring a hammer specialist in because I just don't know how to hit a hammer. I don't own a hammer. I don't want to buy a hammer. I got to hire a guy with a hammer.
use to make your game. A lot of companies either use their own engine or use Epic's Unreal Engine. Unreal recently switched from Unreal 4 to Unreal 5.
Recently, Jason, they're going to Unreal Engine 6. So you're telling me right now, 4 to 5, people were mind blown. They don't know what they're doing with Unreal Engine 5. Stuttering happened, crashing happened. All these things, the open world games they're making are all using the same technology, all having the same problems, and now they're already moving to Unreal Engine 6. That's it, chat. Games are going to suck now, right? Games are going to suck now. How did Expedition 33 get made again? 33 people, right? 36 people? How did No Man's Sky get created again? Even though it took 10 years to, to where it is today? Oh, 14 people. That's right. Right.
If that happened around, I don't know, early 2020s / late 2010s. Actually, it happened early 2020s because it was like the PS5 era. So Unreal switched from Unreal 4 to Unreal 5. And a lot of people had to...
I saw you said, Z. You need a hammer specialist to use your iPad to hammer the nail. That's right. I'm not allowed to hammer. I got to hire the guy. He comes in. I know what I'm doing. Starts smashing his, yeah. Amazing.
Switch along with it, which is a very time-consuming process. If you are used to working with one iteration of the engine and then suddenly you have to do it on another, that is very time-consuming. If you have already built things in Unreal 4, they're not necessarily going to smoothly transfer over to Unreal 5. We also had a console switch, which also adds time to the equation. I was talking to Brandon Adler, the director of Outer Worlds 2 at Obsidian, for a story that I will link in the YouTube description. Check it out. By the way, I throw gift links to all my Bloomberg articles in these YouTube descriptions, so they're all going to be free for you to click on. You can bypass the paywall just by clicking on them. So Brandon Adler, he told me that when they, on Outer Worlds 2, when they switched from Unreal 4 and Unreal 5, that combined with COVID, which I'll get to in a second, essentially it just took a year off their production. He told me, quote, "I wish we could have that year back." They had a year where people just were not as efficient as they could be.
Wait a minute. Why did they get a year on?
Told me that when they, on Outer Worlds 2, when they switched from Unreal 4 and Unreal 5, that combined with COVID, which I'll get to in...
They chose to do that, though. Just like Splitgate chose to not work on Splitgate 1 and move to Splitgate 2 because they were using a new engine. They decided to do that. We, the consumers, didn't ask them to do that. They decided to do that.
In a second, essentially it just took a year off their production. He told me, quote, "I wish we could have that year back." They had a year where people just were not as efficient as they could be because of the tools, because of figuring out how to work from home, and all sorts of other technical challenges.
Probably shouldn't have done that during the production of that game, and you should probably use the new engine for the new game instead of switching everything over to the new engine while you were in mid-production of that game.
And remember, as graphical fidelity just increases, it gets harder and harder to figure out how you can optimize and how you can get your games running at the best possible frame rate, best possible resolution. There are a lot of cool technical innovations that we've seen in recent years, but a lot of those bring with them just extra time that is added to the equation. People have to just spend more time
Spend more time, and you get games like Veilguard.
familiar with the new technical abilities and proficiencies, efficiencies that you can use, and also figuring out how to optimize for them. So that creates a lot of problems. Number 5, I'm going to just say COVID, because I think COVID was a bigger disruption than people realize.
Who doesn't think COVID wasn't a big factor? Who doesn't think that? This is the only thing in the history of mankind that we can all agree that everything got slowed down because of it. What are we talking about?
Number 5, I'm going to just say COVID, because I think COVID was a bigger disruption than people realize.
Who doesn't realize that? Who doesn't realize that a global pandemic wasn't one of the reasons? I don't think we should be talking to those people if they don't think that a global pandemic was a problem.
If you think about a game that has taken 6 years and comes out this year, COVID was in the middle of that, and COVID disrupted everybody's lives in all sorts of ways.
No shit. I don't mean to be like to Schreier being like no shit, Sherlock. Just in general, like no shit. Of course, they were all working from home. We're past that now. There's been a game that was created, okay, after COVID, meaning the games that are coming out next year and the year after hopefully they were just like in pre-production, meaning they weren't even working on the game yet, right? We are 5 years removed, almost 6 years removed now.
Rehash everything. We all remember it. We've all been through it. But one of the biggest is just reteaching people how to think about games and how to work with people, and just kind of changing the way the games are made on a really big scale. And I have very strong feelings about remote work. I work remotely. I think remote work is a really good thing for a lot of people.
Sure. Remote work for sales calls and different things. Remote work for contractors or construction workers, not so much. I can't dig a ditch if I'm not there, right? I can't paint a picture from my house in New York if I'm not actually using the actual thing. I could use the computer, but I actually have to show up somewhere to do the actual job. This is a video game, and yes, you could work from your home if you're working on a game by yourself or a small team, right? You cannot work on a game remotely with 400 people working on the game, and they're all working on their own on their own part when they're being distracted by their dog, their kid, their work, television, social media, all these stuff, and no one is checking up on them. You cannot make a game that way, hence why that was a problem. Hence why companies were asking their employees to come back into the office so they could be more efficient, so they're not just destroying money or just throwing money out the toilet.
But whether a studio is pro-remote work, anti-remote work, something in between, pursuing a hybrid, whatever they are, the year or so that everyone was just trying to figure out how life would be in this pandemic disrupted everything. It was technical stuff, like trying to figure out how to even work, how to even check in a build when everybody's working from home, figuring that part of it out. It was childcare and dealing with the actual like tangible effects of COVID. And
these are everyday problems. Everyday problems. I know this comes out sounding really harsh, but other people don't care about your problems. You know why? Because they have their problems. The only thing that all of us had in a community that was together is when we were all stuck in our houses for 2 weeks. All of us, every single person on planet Earth was stuck and not doing anything, and we were all affected. And everyone understood because everyone was dealing with the same thing. If I'm dealing with stress and different things in my life, and you're dealing with, you don't have a person to watch your kid, or you can't have, your car's broke, or you have no money to get gas, nobody cares. Nobody cares. And when I say nobody cares, it's because they have to care about their stuff. They have their own problems. This is not a reason to go, well, this is why games are being delayed and why their jobs are not being. Everybody was affected. Everybody. Not you, not just him, not just her, everybody.
Disruptions that all these health problems had on people's lives. So it was just a massive disruption in all sorts of ways. And that, I think, added a lot of time to people's schedules. And so we're still seeing the repercussions of that. A lot of people are still trying to figure out how to get back to kind of working together after.
People are still trying to figure out how to work together. We are 5 years removed. 6 years removed.
COVID. The creativity, collaborating via remote work, like trying to figure out how to make that works better for some studios than others. Some studios have become remote first, and Bungie and Insomniac and a few others are just kind of supporting people wherever they want to work, and they found ways to make that work. But others have really.
Yeah, Bungie found a way. Look what's happening to Bungie. They found a way. It's working really well for them. Bloated budgets. The company's in misery right now. It's working out great for them. Insomniac, they still make great games, but at the same time, their project is taking longer because of remote, meaning the cost has gone up because they're not inside the actual studio. And then they said in articles in the past that they might break, or Sony said this, not Insomniac, they might break up the next Spider-Man game into 2 parts just so they can make their money back. Fantastic.
Really struggled with it, so that is just a whole monkey wrench into this entire generation. And I think if you're wondering why this generation has felt so weird and felt so just kind of like less productive than previous console generations, I think COVID is one of the biggest, if not the biggest reasons. And let's do number 6. Let's do a spicy one for reason number 6. And I've written about this quite a bit over the years. Mismanagement.
This is the only reason. Let's stop for a second. Whatever he's about to say, the fidelity, the working together remotely, all of that has nothing to do with any of it. This is the sole reason why games take longer, is because upper management sucks balls.
Mismanagement is a big, broad term that I think can refer to a lot of different things, but is very applicable to the video game industry. So, what kind of mismanagement do we see in the games industry? Well, we see a whole lot of examples, and we can bring up some concrete examples. Probably number 1 in recent years is executives deciding that everything has to be a game as a service.
Yeah, and not understanding what that means. Just saying it's a games as a service. Make it a games as a service. Marvel's Avengers, make it as a games as a service. Suicide Squad, make it a games as a service.
And we saw that in everything from Dragon Age Veilguard, which really struggled because it turned from a single-player game into a game as a service and then back into a single-player game, which...
Don't forget the multiplayer inside there. It's supposed to be a multiplayer game. Dragon Age Veilguard was supposed to be like Anthem. It's supposed to be a co-op live service game. We talked about this years and years and years ago. I told people to stay away from it because they kept changing it. Everyone's like, no, it's going to be great. Upper management decided to switch it from a single-player game to a multiplayer game to a live service game back to a single-player game. What could go wrong?
All sorts of disruptions, and again, I'll link the article I wrote about that in the show notes. We have Suicide Squad is another great example of just kind of...
Another game, single-player game, made into a live service game.
You take this company, this game studio that is incredibly good at making one kind of game, and you say, hey, actually, we're going to make a game as a service now, a multiplayer shooter, and it completely just throws a massive wrench into everything. Part of this, by the way...
Keep this in mind. I know we were just talking about this yesterday. No shade to Playground Games. But remember now, all of this stuff that's happening right now that he's talking about, problems in the video game industry, remember, Fable's been delayed twice now, technically 3 times, twice that we know, right? That it's been in development for 7 to 8 years, working with a company that's never done a game like this before. They've only done car games. And I'm sure it'll come out and it'll be great. But there's probably going to be problems because of all the things that they said. Maybe using the engine to make the thing that they're doing. Maybe because of graphical fidelity, right, is the problem. Maybe because of they've never made an action-adventure game before. I don't know. Could be.
A part of mismanagement, I would say, is not recognizing how long your game is going to take and therefore making everything less efficient as a result. Because if you are a game developer, if you are a programmer, a designer, an artist, and you think that your game is going to come out in, 3-4 years, but actually it just keeps slipping and it keeps slipping 6 months at a time, that is not really 6 years of development.
I have a question for you guys. I have a question. If you're maybe some of you are game developers, and I don't know, okay? As a guy who worked in the film industry, as an independent contractor, and I would work on films. I wasn't part of a studio. I've been part of studios and stuff before, where it's nice. You're getting a constant paycheck. You get benefits and stuff like that. But when I'm an independent contractor, obviously, I would love if the product or project that I was working on was like 6 months long, because that's more money in my pocket, right? Now, obviously, movie productions can't go too long because they'll go out of money, and then you don't know if you're even getting paid because they could be going bankrupt. Okay, so you work the job. Now, in the video game space, You're working for a studio, and you know for 4 years that you have money coming into your pocket. 4 years. Your motivation now as a developer, I'm not saying all of the people that work that are devs are like this, but I would assume that you would be like, oh, cool, we're going 6 more months. That's 6 more months of the stuff. I don't have to look for a job. We don't know what's going on next, right? Because you're all waiting to find out if you still have a job. Because if it's successful, well, not anymore, right? But if it's successful, then they're probably going to make a sequel, or they're probably going to make you on to the next project. But now if it's successful, they could fire you either way, okay? But the whole point is, what he's saying is that if people are there, they want to work on the game. But at the same time, as an artist, you don't want to work on a game too long because you want to make other things because you're an artist. You want to have your resume. You don't want to just have it say one thing. You want to work on multiple games. Yeah, I worked on that game. Yeah, I worked on that game. I know how it feels. The resume for films I worked on and TV shows I worked on looks much better. More experience through life.
That is 4 years of development and then plus 6 months, plus 6 months, plus 6 months, which
That's 5.5 years, Jason.
makes you make these decisions thinking you are going to ship at a certain time, only to have the rug pulled away underneath you, which just adds more time.
That's because they didn't work on the game. If it was 4 years and you had a deadline of 4 years and you didn't make the game, and then you push it for 6 months and you're still not done, and then you push it another 6 months, it's 5 years now. And they're like, well, you didn't finish the game in 4 years, and now you didn't finish it in 5 years. Guess what? We're closing shop. Whatever that reason is.
To the whole equation. You cannot really do planning. You cannot do thoughtful decision making and make good calls when you think your release date is going to be at a different time than it actually is. So I think it's worth noting here and worth hammering on.
A deadline's a deadline. A deadline is a deadline. Sarge, you have 8 months to work on the fidelity of the game. El Dente, you have 8 months to work on the frame rate of the game. Mr. Luke, you have 8 months to work on the microtransaction outfits for the game. 8 months is here. How's the frame rate? How's the fidelity? How's the cosmetics? Like, I don't understand what's happening right now. El Dente says you can't make deadlines. You suck at your job. That's exactly right. If there was no deadline, nothing would get done. That's why we like you, Mr. Luke. Getting those microtransactions, that's what's keeping us afloat. Keeping the lights on. Microtransactions. It's an insane that the deadline doesn't actually mean deadline. I don't understand. I'm sorry. And I know there's people out there that give me examples and stuff like that. The type of person I am, if you tell me that this is when it needs to be done, that is when it's going to get done. That's when my part of the job is going to get done. If I have to put in 12 hours a day for a month, my job will be done on that deadline. That's what it is. That's how I work. That's what I do. Every day, when I'm not on vacation, I'm here, 10 a.m. in the morning, doing my job. That's it. That's all you need to know. Deadline is a deadline. 10 o'clock is when I go live. 10 o'clock, I'm here.
At this point, I'm thinking about this, that sometimes when you see that a game has been in development for quote unquote 6 years, it actually just means, oh, okay, 3 years, and then another set of 6 month delays that just like left us all just on shaky ground the entire time. So consider that as well. Other examples of mismanagement. Warner Brothers have written about them in recent years. That is a studio, Warner Brothers Games, where they had a real problem, a cultural problem of executives refusing to make decisions. So some of their studios just got kind of strung along for months, if not years, where...
How are you in that position? I swear to God. One of these companies give me a job. One of these companies give me a job. Your job, your company will be X times money. Okay? X times money. Give me a job. Make me manage people. I'm not there for friends. Like, what are we talking about? They don't do anything? They couldn't make a decision? What are you paying them for?
They couldn't get a straight answer from management about like whether they were going to be able to do something or not. That can be a problem.
I'm sorry, I got to hear that again.
Mismanagement. Warner Brothers have written about them in recent years. That is a studio, Warner Brothers Games, where they had a real problem, a cultural problem of executives refusing to make decisions. So some of their studios just got kind of strung along for months, if not years, where they couldn't get a straight answer from management about like whether they were going to be able to do something or not. That can be a problem.
Imagine the executives who are getting paid millions, tens of millions of dollars, could not make a choice on what they wanted to do.
Problem. You have cases of directors frequently changing things, revising things, coming in and upending, throwing over the table, and just throwing out months worth of work. Sometimes that can lead to a better product, and sometimes it just means lots of struggling. Sometimes it's both. I mean, a lot of people acknowledge like, hey, this kind of iteration and just rethinking things can lead to a better product, but it also just cost us all this time.
That's because of pre-production. They don't have pre-production. Don't have pre-production, and they don't have people managing people. They have people collecting checks in upper management.
Maybe the quintessential example of that is Ken Levine, who I've written about quite a bit, whose recent game, newest game, Judas, has essentially been in development since 2014. I mean, 2014 is when 2K shut down Irrational Games, the makers of BioShock, and Ken Levine started this new studio to make Judas. And one of the biggest reasons that has been in development for as long as it has is just constant changes and revising and throwing things out all the time.
Is it been in active development since 2014? So 12 years. 12 years this game, Judas, has been in development.
Time.
There's no way that makes its money back. Zero chance that makes its money back.
Kind of element of mismanagement is just short-sighted decisions, firing people, layoffs, breaking up team chemistry. That can add a whole lot of time to the production. A lot of times what happens in these game companies is that people on the executive layer will make decisions to juice up the profits of a quarter, or to make it seem like they're more profitable in a quarter.
That's because they suck at their job. They suck at their job, and they have to cover their ass. So when upper management sucks, they have to fire people to make them look good. That's exactly what happens in corporate world, right? And unfortunately, the artists are the worker ants, right? The artists are the worker bees, and the upper management are the queens of the hive, okay, or the colony. And the upper management sucks. They truly need better upper management. These people want the money, but they don't want to do the job. And that's a fundamental problem in the gaming industry. There's people that are in upper management that have no business being in upper management, do not know how to manage people in any way, shape, or form, or money. And then you get things that happen, okay, like Bungie, like anybody else. They just blow money left and right, not making an actual product until it's too late. And then they get fired. Because, and the people that get fired are the people that are just the worker bees, the worker ants, right? The people that are just doing their job. And they're being told or not told what to do, and they're just sitting there collecting a check. And that's a fundamental problem.
Laying people off to please shareholders, because nothing makes Wall Street happier than layoffs, and wind up cutting into the bone and costing these productions a lot of time, because they're getting rid of people who have a lot of experience, who are kind of integral roles on a project.
A lot of experience means higher paycheck. They have to go.
And it might take months to find ways to replace them. Sometimes I've heard stories over the years about like AAA game companies firing people and then realizing that they shouldn't have fired those people, and just calling them up and being like, so what would it take to get you back here? Turns out you're the only person who understands how this particular complicated part of our rendering pipeline works. So,
but they also don't have to pay for benefits anymore. That's why they got rid of them in the first place. And then they start off with a new contract because they fired them. And then they can manipulate the contract how they want.
Oh, can we hire you back? How much would we have to pay you to come back? That's a big part of it. I talked in my last video about Mina the Hollower. I talked about team chemistry. That's a huge thing that
Sure.
A lot of game companies.
That's the difference between a championship team in sports and a last place team. Chemistry. The chemistry of the thing, for whatever reason, right? You have an asshole, you have a shy guy, you have a person, whatever it is. They all just work together for some reason. That's like the dream team.
Just have absolutely no respect for and no reverence for. And so they'll break up teams that have built good chemistry. A lot of times we're seeing, especially in recent years, because of the current climate and because of these huge budgets and how much it's taking and how there's really no room for failure anymore. We're seeing companies.
There's no room for success. They're firing companies that actually made money for them. They're like, yeah, thanks for making us money. We'll see you later.
Give up on games when they could have been these like strong foundations for future projects. And I'll give you a good example of that. Star Wars Outlaws, which I think was a good, not quite great game, a game with some...
It was broke, buggy, and unfinished when it came out. They knew it. They put it out. They suffered the consequences.
Flaws, but a real foundation that I think could have led to really great things with the sequel, and Ubisoft instead chose to cancel the sequel. Granted, there were a number of reasons for that, but still, I think Star Wars Outlaw...
Are we just going to skim over why they canceled it? I mean, come on. Ubisoft had a lot of problems there.
2, a sequel to that game could have really gone from good to great, sort of like how we saw in the PS3 generation. A lot of games just kind of find their footing and then build off that foundation to make something really great. Mass Effect is a good example of that. Uncharted is a good example of that. Assassin's Creed is a good example of that. Those are all games where like the first title was good, not quite great, and the second game really elevated.
Well, yeah, but they also didn't take 7 years to get made. There was an Assassin's Creed game coming out every year. 2 to 3 years is the cycle of games. I'm confused here, right? What he's talking about, starting off small and then building up, they can't do that anymore. Starting off small takes 7 to 8 years. And if that game takes off, it's going to take them 7 to 8 more years to make the sequel? Bro, what are we talking about? They are so bloated. They are so... They have no idea what they're doing. They're blind driving a car.
It really took it to the next level because you had a team that understood what they were making, that knew how to make games together, that knew the technology.
And I'm not talking about the devs, by the way. I'm talking about the companies running the companies, right? I'm talking about the people that are running the companies, not the devs that are blind driving a car. It's the people running, right? The cars, the devs, right? The people that are driving the devs have no idea what the fuck they're doing.
And the pipelines that could see fan criticism and respond to that. So a lot of a lot of companies that just give up on the first game and don't give that team a chance to make something else are really just kind of costing themselves in the long run. One more example of mismanagement that I'll bring up real quick is just kind of not using pre-production properly.
Hey, look at that.
And this is a little bit more in the weeds, but I ran this story a few months ago from Josh Sawyer, who is the director of games like Pentiment and Fallout New Vegas. He works at Obsidian, and he told me something really interesting, which is that he really believes strongly that pre-production is the time to take big swings and do crazy experiments.
Yeah. You know why? It's the cheapest thing. Because you have storyboards, even in video games. You have art renditions, storyboards, scripts, whatever it is. You pay the guy to write the script, you pay the artist to write the boards, and now the artists, the devs, have something to look at and go, that's the end product. That's called concept art. That's called script writing.
And stuff like that. And a lot of people are tempted to do the same even when they get into production. So essentially game development is split into these two phases. You have pre-production and then you have production.
That's anything. I have a question. Do any of you guys build anything with wood? Do you just see wood on the ground and just start building something? Or do you just take a pencil, a quick drawing of going, oh, you know what? I need 4 2x4s. I need 6 1x1s, right? And you're like, I'm going to build a house, right? And you do it, right? What are we talking about here? Like, who just blindly just like, I'm going to take this bunch of wood. I don't even know if I have the right amount of wood. I'm just going to build something, right? You're not an artist. You're building a house. You need to know what you're doing. You need to have a plan. How do these companies run with no plan?
Production is when you have a lot more people working on the project, and the idea is pre-production, you establish what the game is going to be. Production, you actually make the game.
Yeah.
So pre-production often ends with what's called a vertical slice, which is essentially a chunk of the game that is meant to display.
Sort of like the Witcher 4 vertical slice that they showed you, right? They built it and said, yeah, that's what we're going to build. That's what we're looking at.
Hey, this is the graphical fidelity we want.
Now they're going to bottle that up and then do a trailer 5 years in advance and tell you this is what the game looks like. You're like, oh my God, it's going to be amazing. And then that's not the game you get.
This is what the systems that we want. This is like what a chunk of the game should look like. So everybody can see that and be like, okay, now we're going to make more of this and build out the game in that way. And what Sawyer says is that often in production, people start changing a bunch of things and it's extremely risky and extremely disruptive. And he points out that you should be doing that in pre-production. If you do it in production, it can cause a lot of problems. And I'll quote him. He said to me, this is for Bloomberg, he said, I tend to be fairly conservative and say, we already figured this out. We're not going to redo it for a theoretical 15% gain in X, Y, and Z because the potential to screw up the rest of the project is enormous. You're going to waste a bunch of people's work and you're going to eat up a bunch of time. So that's another reason.
That's like not, again, in a construction analogy, if you don't measure and you cut the piece of wood at the start, it's fine. But by the time you get to the end, you're going to be off big time because you didn't take the time to do pre-production.
I could go on and on about mismanagement. I think mismanagement might be the biggest of these reasons.
Yes. I would say it's the only reason. I'll be honest. Because you can have the problems with a game engine. You can have a problem with people not communicating and stuff like that. But that all gets mostly fixed if you have management, upper management, to talk between everybody. They're the middlemen. Even though they're the higher up, they are the middlemen. They're supposed to be in the trenches, talking to every single person, find out their problems, okay? Then refer those problems to other people and figure out solutions to get them fixed. That's what management does. Management just doesn't sit back and go, yeah, I'm going to need you to come in on Saturday, right? We're not talking about fucking Lumberg here. We're talking about actual people doing their actual jobs.
The most significant. There are certainly some, and game devs I've talked to would argue that graphical fidelity is the biggest reason. But I think from a kind of, at least from my outside perspective, I think mismanagement I've seen have the biggest impact on some of these timelines, and some of the most infamous examples of games that have taken 6+ years to make are the result of some serious mismanagement that often.
I would say the sole reason games take 6 years now, not 2 to 3, and they add 4, 5, 6, and 7, an extra 4 years, is because of upper management, is of executives just collecting a check. I don't know that for a fact, okay? Just my speculation. But I'm pretty sure that the people in the upper management and the higher-ups of executives are literally taking longer just so they can make more money in the long run. Not from the game, from the investments that are coming in.
And if you're on the inside, you don't really even see or know about it until a little bit later, until it's time to postmortem the project. But those are some of the reasons, and hopefully that adds a little bit of context if you're wondering why some of these big games are taking so long. And granted, I mean, I think I'll end on this note, which is maybe the 7th reason, which is a positive reason, which is that creativity takes time and greatness takes time. I was just rewatching this old document.
Yeah, but if creative does take time, but if you don't have management telling the artist when the deadline is and hitting that deadline, then it doesn't matter how creative you are, because creative people will just keep working on the thing, because if there's no deadline, they'll just keep working on it. Or they'll abandon it and move on to something else.
From 2003 that MTV made about Blink-182 making what most people consider to be their best album, the Untitled album. And they spent like a year straight just living out of this house in this studio
Okay.
and just tooling away at it and recording. And this documentary has all these great shots of them being like, this is hell. Like, this is like, there's one shot of Tom DeLonge, the guitarist and one of the singers, just being like, recording is like this. And he takes this kind of like this little tool thing that is like one of those like,
A metronome. It's called a metronome.
I don't know, like it goes back and forth. It's like a little tool that goes like this. And he just puts it in front of his crotch and it's like, right into his crotch. He's like,
Yeah, it's called getting kicked in the nuts.
like recording music is like this, which I think a lot of people can relate to if they've ever tried to make art. Of course, it's worth it in the end, but it's worth noting that good art takes a lot of time and can't be rushed. And I think that as games have just kind of grown and matured as a medium and people have started to really understand all the cool things you can do with games.
Just as you know, they're going to change it. If you're working with Unreal Engine 4 and they had problems moving to Unreal Engine 5, guess what? Unreal Engine 6 is coming out, so they're going to have problems from Unreal Engine 5 to 6. So when does it get easier, guys? When does it get easier for the developers working with a product that's supposed to make their jobs easier? When? Unreal Engine 7? Unreal Engine 8? When is it supposed to get easier for them? And how come every time they add a number to Unreal, I got to hire an additional 4 or 5 people to my project because it's supposed to be easier, but now I need more specialists to do the thing?
They have realized that it takes a lot of time to make a lot of this great stuff. And I think some of the greatest games we've seen in recent years have taken a lot of time. The Hollow Ridges came out. That's fantastic. Took 6 years to make. Last year's Silk Song, I wrote a story for Bloomberg about why that took 6-7 years to make. Yeah, I said 6-7. Okay, don't.
How many people worked on Silk Song? How many people worked on Silk Song? It was less than 10, wasn't it? Am I wrong with that? See, if you told me a game that had 10 people working on it took longer to make because there was 10 people, because there was less people, I would be like, yeah, it makes sense. When you have 100 people working on a game and you tell me it takes 7 to 8 years, I'd be like, what are they doing?
Don't make a big thing of it. That article, I mean, that story is essentially like those guys being like, we were having a ton of fun and like we wanted to make a ton of good stuff and put a ton of details into it, and it just took a lot of time. Blueprints, my favorite game of the generation, perhaps, that came out last year after 8 years of development. So even games that aren't.
Okay, I'll let him finish. Then we're gonna look up. Actually, you know what? No, I'm gonna look it up right now. I'm gonna look it up right now. Was it Silk Song 2? Is it 3 guys? Is that it? 3 guys? There are only 4 people. The reason it took them 6 years is because there was 4 people working on the game. That's why it took long. Cuphead, right? Around 20 developers worked on Cuphead. Right? The project was just 3 people. The game just began with 3 people, right? Cuphead was developed in about 7 years. Do you see the logic here, guys? The logic that Jason Schreier just told you is the reason that it takes so long is because more people are working on video games. But yet, the people that had 3 people working on the game made it in 7 years because they had less people working on it and they were doing all of the things. So explain to me how a group of 100, 200, 500, 700, 1,000 people takes 7 years. Skull and Bones. How many devs worked on Skull and Bones? Do we have an answer here? Took 15 years. Let's see. Because of notoriously long and rocky development cycles, hundreds of employees across multiple studios worked on Skull and Bones for 11 plus years. It's actually 15 years. Okay. It makes no sense what he's been saying. Right? 3 people worked on Silksong. 3. Not 1,000, not 800, not 500. That's why it took them long. Because they were literally doing all the jobs. 3 of them. More than one, probably, right?
Like trying to achieve this incredible graphical fidelity, even smaller scale games take a lot of time. And to some extent, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think a lot of people are trying to figure out how to shorten game time, but sometimes, I mean, we're talking about art, so sometimes that might not be possible. Maybe not every game has to take 6 to 8 years. See, I avoided saying 6, 7 there. Maybe not every game
You just said it. You literally just said it.
Has to take 6 to 8 years to make, because I mean, if you're a creative person and you're like spending 6 to 8 years per game, you only have so many over the course of an average lifespan. So I mean, that's something to consider as well. But at the end of the day, I mean, if we're getting more games like Blueprints and Silksong and Mina the Hollower, then maybe we should welcome long game time.
I think the main problem is we're talking about AAA games here. We're not really talking about independent games here. We're talking about the game industry and the AAA space. AAA space is getting bloated budgets. Hollow Knight's not a bloated budget, right? We're talking about AAA games with bloated budgets that take 6 to 8 years with 1,000 people working on a game. And yet the game comes out incomplete, broke, buggy, and unfinished, right? We're not talking about the Silksongs and the Cupheads, right? And the Hades, right? Those take a long time because there's less people working on those games. And they're not mega corporations. We're talking about the AAA gaming space. We're talking about the Maddens. We're talking about the Call of Duties. We're talking about, right? There's 4 studios working on Call of Duty. Right? It takes them 4 year cycle, I believe. Right? Because as one studio like Infinity, right? When's the last time Infinity came out with their last game? From their other game, right? How do they do it? Well, obviously, if you have more people working on something, you can do it faster. Hence why Battlefield took 5 studios, 4 years to get it done. And it still wasn't done.
As much as the big budget studios might not want to do that. I think I don't know how many of them are going to be able to shorten dev times. I think unless they go for smaller scale, less graphical fidelity, as that one kind of famous meme goes. What is it? I want shorter games made by people who are paid more with less graphics, et cetera, et cetera. I just butchered that quote, but whatever. Don't have it in front of me. All right. That is that for this week's episode of Jason Talks on a Camera. I am heading to Los Angeles this week for Summer Games Fest, so you probably won't see any more videos from me for a little bit, unless I shoot something there for fun. And
well, there you go. Jason Schreier's linked in the description down below. We'll probably cover his stuff a lot over here, right? And he sees the light. He sees the light because now he's in the YouTuber. He's a YouTuber now. He said it in his other videos. He's a YouTuber now. And because he's a YouTuber, obviously the writing's on the wall for writing. Now he can just take his articles, he can cross promote, but it's much smarter for him to be on YouTube. I'll be honest with you, right? Because now he can interview people. He can bring a lot of people in. Jason Schreier's channel is going to explode. He'll be at 100,000 by the end of this month. Easy. Probably halfway through the month, he'll be at 100,000. Okay. He's going to start making checks here and being like, why didn't I do this sooner? I think Eclipse said that earlier in stream, right? He's going to be very successful on this platform because say what you want, either he is knowledgeable or he has connections with people that are knowledgeable in the industry. Now, I've said the exact same stuff that he's said the entire time, and all you got to do is show up Monday through Thursday. I'm here. We talk about different stories every single day. Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. We have another story to cover here. Is this the one? Play gaming dependent on live. Yeah. This is the third story that we're going to cover today. Former BioWare veteran warns AAA gaming is too dependent on live service titles. If you guys like what I do, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. So Mark Daria has produced credits on games in major franchises, including Anthem, Mass Effect, Dragon Age, and recently he offered comments on the video game industry business model that it can also learn from the movie business, right? I love how these game developers are all talking about the difference between movies and the video game debate. Imagine if there was someone that has been doing this for all these years. Daria noted that the games business is missing the live theater experience that movies still benefit from. He also commented that the subscription model suggests that more games should regularly leave subscription platforms, just like shows and movies on Netflix and other streaming platforms. He also suggests that if any alternative to the live service model isn't found soon, many top-level games may not exist without it. So Mark Daria quoted on live service model in gaming. He says, quote, I think it's over-reliance on microtransaction is overemphasizing certain genres and preventing other genres from flourishing, he said in a YouTube video. So it's worth a think. I would say that it is. Do I have a great answer? Do I have a great model? I don't. Not yet. He continues by saying, but it's something I think that the industry should be considering because everything I can't be a live service as well. I hope proven pretty definitely over the last year and a half. If our monetization is coming primarily from a live service, we run the risk of ending up with a world where there are no AAA games that aren't live service. I don't think that's a world that I or any of us really want to live in. Okay. It says in 2026, the game industry has seen a number of layoffs and project shutdowns, many of them tie with live service games. Epic Games recently laid off 1,000 people to shut down several Fortnite modes. Learn more about that here. Okay. Also, Higard went from being the final game feature in 2025 Game Awards to launching and then shutting down in just 3 months. Was it 3 months? Was it 3 months? I don't think it even lasted 3 months. Maybe it did. So we've talked about this, right? We've talked about this as well as far as AAA games and then everything's a live service. It was okay when, Destiny or Bungie made a live service game and there wasn't a lot of other live service games. And we've done an example of this where we said Twitch. We used an example of Twitch, right? What was the guy's name? Lyric. Lyric used to be a huge streamer on Twitch, okay? Now, I've been streaming since Justin TV, okay? That's before Justin TV turned over to Twitch, okay? Now, obviously, I couldn't stick with it because I was traveling and doing a whole bunch of stuff, but I used to stream on Justin TV. I used to stream video games and whatnot back in the day. And Lyric stuck with it. He went from Justin TV to Twitch. And because he was one of the first people on Twitch, he started becoming popular. People started watching him. And then because he's on the top of the list, more people started watching him and so on and so forth. And now he's at a point where because he was there, people watched him and there was no competition for him. So he became extremely popular. But then more people started getting into Twitch. And then other people. And then because more people started watching other people, less people watched him, and so on and so forth. That's what's happening with live service games. So like when Bungie came out and Warframe was there was only 2. But then there was 3, and then there was 4, and then there was 10, and then there was 20. So everyone's like, well, live service are loved by everybody. But not really, because the pool of people that are playing these live service games are still finite compared to the gaming industry. Okay, so we used to have arguments all the time back in our older channel and stuff like that. People would come in and say live service are going to be here forever, and I said they are until they're not because less people want to play where you're doing checklists. Okay, so obviously what Mark Daria is saying is if all games become live service games, then they're going to fail. You're going to have to close some because you're not going to have a big audience. Remember when MMOs first started, right? There was only 1 or 2 good MMOs. So people played EverQuest or Ultima, right? Then they moved over to Star Wars and they moved over to World of Warcraft. And World of Warcraft sucked in a whole bunch of people and a lot of MMOs failed. Okay? Well, then more MMOs came out. And then what happened to them, right? Some succeeded, others failed. Most of them failed because there's just not an audience to keep them all afloat. Well, now it's the same thing with live service games, right? Free to play games, live service games, right? We had an article a couple months ago about Fortnite losing a lot of its player base because now those people are like 18 years old that started playing when they were like 12. Okay, now are getting older, now going to college, not playing video games, and so on and so forth. And there's less people. There's more games coming in. Roblox is now blocking things. Minecraft is, Hightails in here, right? There's so many different games that come in, so many different live service games that they all can't survive. So when you look at a game that comes out, if you make a single player game, okay, a single player game comes out. Look at James Bond, right? 1.5 million people bought the game. But let's say another single player game comes out just a week later, right? Well, people bought James Bond, and then people will buy the other one. Why? Because they played James Bond, they beat James Bond, they put James Bond down, and then they go buy the next single player game. They're not asking you to come back, even though in James Bond, there's going to keep updating it because it's a live service game. But my point still stands with the single player game. When you buy a single player game, you play a single player game, you move on from the single player game. It's in your library. You can go back and play it down the road in your backlog if you want to, but you're moving on to the next thing. With a live service game, it's asking you to constantly log in, right? Constantly check in the daily, do your raids, do your strikes, do whatever it is, right? Get your next character. It's just constantly asking you to do a to-do list. And then the second game comes out. It's asking you to do a to-do list. And then the third game, and the fourth game, and the fifth game. And at that point, you're just kind of like, yeah, I'm burnt out. I don't want to do it. Same with extractions. Arc Raiders, same thing. Marathon, same thing. Live service, right? Extraction. And they're constantly asking you to check in, right? People get burnt out by it over and over, and you're just done with it. And that's why we don't want to have a world where everything is just a live service. You need different genres. You need different things. Hence why you need a break from certain things, right? That's why I call palate cleansers, right? Where I play stupid games like the video Retro Rewind, right? I don't think it's a stupid game. I think it's a fun game. It's a stupid game compared to other games, but it's a palate cleanser, right? It's not a shooter. If I keep playing shooters or I keep playing dungeon crawlers, if I keep playing the same thing, you kind of burn yourself out. So you play one game and you go play a different game and you kind of not let yourself burnt out. That's what he's talking about here as far as, everyone's depending on live service. And then look what's happening to Sony. Look what's happening to Xbox. Look what's happening with game companies that are live service games. They're failing. They're falling apart. And they're, firing thousands of people. Studios are closing. They just can't keep it up because they got to keep their lights on, right? As they say. But here's my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe, and if you like what I do here, check out some of our other videos. Thanks for watching. Altern says, and the same reason why live service are dying, people are getting burnt out. They don't want to play it. And they close down. I just started playing again. I said this last night when I was playing the video Retro Rewind. I started playing Hogwarts Legacy again, right? We started watching the movies with my son. We watched the first two movies. And I was like, hey, you know what? I want to play Hogwarts again, right? What a great game, right? It's a self-contained game. It's got a single-player aspect to it. Would it be cool? We've talked about this in the past. Would it be cool if it was a multiplayer stuff? Sure, right? But that's an option, not the game. Do you know what I mean? Like, say what you want about Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto, if you want to buy the game, is a single-player game. You play the single-player game, and you can put it down and never play it again. Red Dead Redemption, you could play the single-player game, never touch it again. But there's an option to play the online if you want, right? I'm okay with stuff like that, where if you're a person that just wants to buy a single-player game, play Hogwarts Legacy, and then if there was an online thing, you could play it if you want, right? Starfield, if there was a single-player aspect and maybe they add an online down the road, you could play that as well. Okay, if you like that thing, keep playing the thing, right? I'm okay with an option to play it, not the thing itself is the product. So I really like Hogwarts Legacy. Now, I beat it for the second time with House Slytherin. I'll probably go back again and play it with Gryffindor and play it with, Ravenclaw and stuff like that. But I don't feel obligated to go back every single day and go, well, I gotta check in. I gotta check in and I gotta finish the game. I gotta hit that checkbox. There's another game that I used to play, which is Disney Speedstorm, right? It's a kart racing game. It's like Mario Kart, okay? But it's a gotcha game. Okay. Now, obviously, I don't pay for microtransactions or anything like that. And I used to like it because I think the gameplay and the courses are much better than other kart racing games. But holy Christ, the microtransactions and you check in daily and you check in weekly and you check in. And I'm just like, I'm done with that. I don't want to do that because they put everything behind and they entice you to try to unlock the next thing, right? We'll give you this, but you got to pay for that. And I'm like, no, I'm good. I don't like that, right? I went and played Hitman, right? The Hitman assassination, whatever it is. Okay, they give you the first 2 stories, but then you got to buy the next one for $6 and the $7 and $10 or whatever it is. And I went, yeah, no, I'm good, right? I don't want to buy that. I would rather buy the old Hitman games where it's the complete game and I'm playing the complete game, right? I don't want, as Sarge is saying, I don't want homework. I want a time where I'm just sitting down and playing the game, and then when I'm done playing that game, I move on. I don't have to come back on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday just to get an extra 10% bonus or whatever, right? But that's just me. Jesse Mack, going back to the other stories, says 3 different studios working on one game and they hate each other. Yeah, fantastic. And no upper management's talking to each other, Jesse. Right? No upper management's talking to each other. It's mind-boggling to me when you go back to 2014. We looked up 2014, 15, and 16. It still took 2-3 years to make a game. In 2018 is when it switched from 2 to 3 years to 3 to 5 years, and then from 18 to 20, it went from 3 to 5 years to 5 to 8 years. They went off the deep end there. All right, what else we got going on here? Let me check out some Twitter. Mr. Luke says, have you tried Hardcore Agent on Division 2 yet? I have not. I saw the update. I updated. I'll be honest with you. I don't want to play the game by myself. And I know Sarge doesn't want to play it anymore. So I don't know if I'll ever go back. Is it good? Have you played it? It's a one-time death. See, I kind of like that. Sarge says, what game? Division 2. And then the next thing he says is, fuck them. Eclipse says the realistic mode is awesome. I love it. How does it work, Eclipse? How does the realistic mode work in that game? Just no respawn? This is not the survival mode, is it? Jesse Mack says new KOTOR remake when it comes out, and it's kind of mid. The other live service games will only for the nostalgia type that will also be selling you on that. The OG ones are better than the remake. Yeah, see, I told you. See, I knew it. Yeah. So how does the realistic? You know what? I can look it up. Sarge is burnt out with it because of what they did. He played it and they stopped supporting it. Right? He played it and they stopped supporting it. We played it, and then they're like, we're done supporting it. And then he's like, okay. And then they came back and they're like, oh, we got more stuff. And he's like, fuck that, dude. Eclipse says, I just like if you shoot someone in the head, they die. Like, they don't have life bars anymore. If they have armor on you, you shoot it off. That's it. All right. Is it survival mode in there? I used to love the survival mode in Division 1. When does that come out? Division 2 hardcore mode is permadeath game mode. If your agent dies at any point, whether the combat is fatal, disconnect, or character is permanently deleted, losing all equipment, gear, and progress. It offers a high-stake tactical experience separate from the main game. So do you start off? So basically, that's Diablo and stuff, right? It's like the hardcore seasonal type of guys. I kind of like it, but I don't. Like, it's like State of Decay, right? State of Decay, if you die, you're dead. Justin Love says Destiny 2 is about to do that. Methinks. Oh, where they say they're done supporting it and then come back and support it. Oh, 100% they're doing that. Give it 8 months. So everyone is stacking armor, no trainer. Well, I think I don't think about PvP. I wouldn't go into PvP, Sarge. It would just be. Maybe I'll give it a shot. Maybe we'll play that tonight, since Sarge is not going to play. Maybe we'll play that tonight. Probably not. I think I want to finish out the video retro rewind, because I think one more time we'll be at max level at 20, and then we'll wait for an update to happen. Clip says it's pretty much single player game. Like, you don't even have to have the online. I don't have Xbox Game Pass right now, and I can still play it. Well, that's good. That's good. It's full hardcore, as to see how far we can go. Interesting. About to give it a go. Unfortunately, I can't join you today. Maybe when I come back from vacation, Luke, I leave Thursday, and I got to get stuff prepared for my trip, so I can't do it this afternoon. Let me know how it is. Maybe we could do that. I want to start playing games again in the afternoon with you for, even if it's like an hour and a half or so. I do have a new song out, which is called Light Through Time. You guys heard it earlier. It's about the Destiny thing. I have a video that I put up for members only. And that is up on our channel if you're a member. I'm going to release it to the public. I don't know. I think I probably should release it this week. I know Sarge said I should probably release it for the 500th show, but that's too late. People are talking about Destiny and stuff now. I'm thinking about releasing it. I'll show it to you guys on stream. I'll show it to you guys on stream if you're a non-member, and I'll show you guys. All right, so this, I put this together. Okay, I put this together. You guys can like a little music video. It'll be up on this channel. I just don't know when I'm releasing it yet. I wanted to make sure that the song was out. So this is the new song that's out on Spotify and all the other places. I think you can even listen to it on YouTube as well, but it won't have the video. I'm going to post this video on the main channel here.
Explain. Wake up in the Cosmodrome rain, a dead earth calling out your name. Ghost says, Guardian, rise again. No map, no guide, just fire in your hand. The dark below, we fought in caves. Hive kings crawling from ancient graves. House of wolves, betrayal lines. Prison of elders, one more try at a time. We were lost, but we believed. In the light we couldn't see. We were chasing light through time. Every loss still felt like mine. From broken stars to burning skies, we kept on fighting, never asking why. Oh, eyes up,
light through time. Then came the king, the taken rise, oryx falling from the sky. Jalahorn sang one last song, and suddenly the world felt strong. Rise of iron, the plague lands cry, shivers spreading like a lie. Salvation forged in fire and steel, we learn what pain could really feel. Every white, every fall, we still answered when they called. We were chasing light through time. Every scar became a sign. From the ball of glass to the final line, we kept on pushing past the climb. Oh, eyes up, don't lose your way. The traveler still lights up the grade. Through every rain and every sign, we were chasing light through time. Red war hit, we lost it all. The tower burned, we took the fall. Then curse of Osiris, war mind flame, trying to rebuild a broken name. Forsaken struck like a knife in the dark. Katie's laughter left a mark. We hunted down revenge and fate. That's when the game felt truly great. Shadowkeep rose from lunar dust. Nightmares feeding on our trust. Beyond light froze the truth in ice. We paid the cost, we paid the price. Still we stayed through every phase, through changing worlds and shifting days. We were chasing light through time, through every low and every climb. From Europa snow to Witch Queen lies, we kept our fire in our eyes. Oh, eyes up, don't fall behind. The witness creeping through the mind, through every raid and every sign. We were chasing light through time. Whoa. Lightfall came, neon night, Neptune glowing in electric light. Confusion rose, but we held on through every patch until it's gone. Final shape, the final stand. Guardians united hand in hand. No ghosts fading, new hopes rise. The end of war, but not goodbye. Years of grind, years of pain, still we booted up again. One last raid, one last run, before the cycle comes undone. We were chasing light through time. Every ending felt like mine. From a lonely spawn to cosmic signs, we kept our hope between the lines. Oh, eyes up, we won't decay, even when the game fades away. Through every raid and every sign, we were chasing light through time. I don't have time to explain what I don't have time to explain. But we were there, we were there in the light.
There you go. Seems like Bungie also didn't have time to explain. They don't need time to explain. So my question to you guys is: do you guys think I should release? Do you guys think I should release that on June 9th? Do you think I should release it before June 9th? I think it's if you ever played Destiny, June 8th, if you ever played Destiny, that would definitely get you hit you in the memory berries, you know what I'm saying? Friday? What's Friday? Friday is 3rd, 4th, 5th. The 5th? Yeah, it hits the feelings, right? See, I love Destiny. I hate Bungie. Submit to Bungie for the TWAB? I don't even know how to do that. I don't even know how to do that. I'm not crying. You're crying. Mr. Z says, I'm in the Cosmodrome right now. First time play. You've never played Destiny? Oh, my God. You're going down. You're going down.
Oh, where I land, I do not know. But here I fall down the rabbit's hole.
Mr. Z is going down the rabbit hole. Hashtag MOTW. Is that what you do? Yeah, I love, dude, the amount of raids and stuff they did was so good. Thank you, Wonder Rose. The one shot kills feel so good. Oh, in Division. So tweet it out. So the TWAB comes out on Thursday. So I would have to submit it. I would have to post it now then. Wait, they added a realism mode to Division? Yeah, Division 2. Division 2. The unfortunate part for you guys that have never played Destiny, the best Destiny, hands down, is, well, Destiny 1's awesome. Destiny 1's awesome. Destiny 2 Forsaken is the best, is peak Destiny. With Dreaming City, and you guys don't get to play that anymore. I don't think it's in the game anymore. Let me see. Yeah, Destiny 2 Forsaken was a massive, critically acclaimed expansion released in 2018. The story was famous for its dark Western revenge theme, where players track down 8 Scorn Barons to avenge the death of beloved Cade. However, the main campaign and Tangled Shore destination are no longer in the game. That is a crime. That is a crime, okay? They should close down just for that. That is a crime. Such a good, God damn it! Such a good time. That was peak Destiny. Jesus, just thinking about it. The amount of time I spent I had 700, almost 800 hours, I think, in Destiny 2, and I think 400 or 500 of that is just in the Dreaming City. Dreaming City is there, but the story is scrapped along with the Taken. Yeah, see, that's terrible. That whole expansion was amazing. Taken King was the best DLC in in Destiny 1, and Forsaken was the best DLC inside of Destiny 2. Remember the people that were so pissed off first? They're like, remember when they showed it? And they spoiled it, by the way. They showed it at E3. Some of the seasonal stories in D2 were pretty good and don't exit anymore or don't exist anymore. SKG is doing a great job. Changes to the industry are coming. Get involved. Let's see. Oh, stop killing games. Yeah, they're making a different rule over here in the States and California. But stop killing games. They're making a change, but it would help things after January 1st, 2027. Right? Anything after January 1st, 2027, games have to have a way. Well, at least that's what they're trying to do. But it doesn't go backwards. So all the games right now are not going to move forward. Like, so if you're playing a online game or whatever, they don't have to try to make it work. Everything after though. I just got the golden gun. Well, you're playing that. You're playing the best class. You're a hunter. Are you playing a hunter? Now you're gonna see the people come out. They're fucking Titan's the best. No, Warlock's the best. No, Hunter is the best. All right, so real quick, what should I do? I should release it? Hashtags don't work in Twitter anymore. Hashtags don't work in Twitter anymore, right? Oh, you're fine. You'll have plenty of time to get Glimmer. You'll have plenty of time. Sarge says the hackers and modders will go back and get those. What is that? Frivolous? Don't worry. Don't believe 30. Titans are the best. Hunters are for normies. Nope. I mean, Titans. I mean, I had one of each character, to be honest with you, but my Hunter was my favorite. Put it out there. Hashtag on YouTube and post on Twitter at them. All right. I'll do that this afternoon. Yeah, Sarge is a Titan for life. Titans are good, man. All the characters are good. Hunter's my favorite, though. You got to break your ankles, though. See, Hunters, you'll break your ankles. If you're a Hunter, you'll break your ankle. Mr. G says, I'm a must rogue even in Dark Souls 3. I must be quick and stabby. Thank you very much. That's right, first. Hunters are the way to go. All right. All right, I'll see what I can do about the... I'll see if I do it correctly and upload it. I think I have the uploads right now. I have the hashtags Destiny 2, Bungie, and video game music. That's on YouTube. And then I'll have to add them on. All right, so I'll release this afternoon, or when the show's on. All right, chat. We will be back tomorrow for the last daily grind of the week. We don't have a show on Thursday. We do not have a podcast on Thursday. We'll be playing video games tonight over on 30 and Still Gaming. We'll be playing, or we'll be live for the daily grind tomorrow. We'll probably cover the stories or the stuff that they showed today at the State of Play for Sony. I will not be live this afternoon when it goes off, but I will be watching it. And then I'll be on Fake Wizard News tomorrow evening. And then I'm going to bed, and then I'm on my way to Washington, D.C. So what do you use for your songs? I use Sunu. I use... Let me see if I can... Bow, bow, bow. Bow, 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 bow. Yeah, you just go to SUNO, and you can make your creations over there, and it's real simple to make a song, like just to put a song out there. But when you take your music, you take your whatever you're writing, right? Whatever you're writing, you can start putting and writing the parentheses, right? How you want to make it sound, what instrumentals you want, what background you want. So you could just hit create, and it'll come up with a song. Okay, but a lot of them, I'll be honest with you, sound like AI, right? So you have to make the AI and give it that gritty sound, or you have to give it a little bit of polish. If you just hit create, right, it'll make a good song. But you can tell the difference between even the songs that we made early, right? Like, for instance, like this is Crazy Uncle Nintendo.
Crazy Uncle Nintendo. Started way back in 1889. Hanafuda cards, oh, the designs were fine. From toys to games, they paved their own way. Crazy Uncle Nintendo, doing it their way. Duck Hunt, Zappers, 8-bit.
Right? You could tell that is AI, right? Now listen to The Plan's the Plan. Now they've updated, right? They've updated the songs and stuff like that, like 5.5.
Old guard signs off.
Right? So you can hear the different melodies and stuff that are happening. No, absolutely. Eclipse, right? This album that I'm putting together now with Plan's the Plan, Look What's Going On. Even Morgan Park, right? Morgan Park. Do I have John Walker? Do we have John Walker? Here, let me bring up my playlist. Let's see. John Walker. Was John Walker on the... He was on the first album. Like when you're listening to that,
Got my spells, my sass, I'm ready to shine. Then boom, big beast, 20 arms, breathing fire. I died.
Like,
so
that's pretty
much,
good.
My controller
Now, that's old
retired.
version.
I tried to roll, parry, and dash on cue. Game said, get good.
right? But then when you listen to Morgan Park, right? Even though I like John Walker better, you can listen to the melody and stuff that's happening in Morgan Park.
Yes, Morgan Park. Yeah. Whoa. Suicide Squad. 8 hours deep in Suicide Squad. Morgan says this.
Right? They're both the same type of songs. They're campy type of songs, right? But then you listen to other songs like what you just heard, Light Through Time, or listen to this is one of my favorite ones now.
Got another promise wrapped in neon light. Everyone on said it.
Right? Like you could tell a lot of difference, and a lot of it has to do with the 5.5. I'm not doing anything miraculous here. I have to go in and put in the parentheses and different things. Like if I show you, let's see, library. Okay, so for instance, I have. Do you see how many light through times I have? Right? Light through time. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? I had it before where it was called the Last Fire Team. So I have 1, 2. Right? So I deleted like 27 other ones. Okay? I had to go in and I'll write, the words of the words, put it in there, and then I experiment, right? Try it with this beat. So you'll try it with, right? I don't like the way that sounds, right? Then I go to the next one. Oh, that's the one I picked. Right? And I'm just playing, right? I don't want elongated, right? I want more staccato. I want more, like, you put it in the style that you want. And it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to do all the stuff. Not to say that, I mean, obviously it would take a lot fucking longer if I was actually a musician. I had to play all the instruments and put it in, right? So it's definitely, and this is why I'm not trying to, like, make albums and sell the albums like I'm a musician here. But as a YouTuber, making songs and having somewhere where people can listen to songs, because let's be honest, no band is going to make music that I'm making about the video game industry. They're just not. Okay? And I love the fact that we can take topics and I can write something about it and make it relevant and make it gaming related, but at the same time, not make it feel like AI, right? Right? So it's making music, but it's making music that no one would ever make. You would never have a Blink-182 do the stuff here, right? So I got a lot of stuff over there. One of my favorite ones is the AI slop song, which I think is hilarious. This one, actually, the Nothing Means Anything Anymore, this one sounds good. I like when it's like gritty.
The smile wide in the keynote light. Talk about passion, art, and pride. We believe in people in every voice. Right before they cut the staff, no choice. Your favorite game just hit a high.
Right? So, like, talk about Battlefield, right? 18 months. No musician's gonna be like, hey, can you write a song for this?
Once a Frank standing tall, a king upon the field. The hype was real, the trailers made the fans believe and feel. But then came the launch, oh what a bit of fight. A broken game, a shattered name, left stranded in the night. No scoreboard, no classes, just chaos in the storm. Promises of glory, but the game was far from normal. The maps were wide, but the hearts were small. Battlefield 2042, how could you let us fall? 18 months to fix the pain, patch by patch, but the
Right? Like, the stuff is, I love, I'll be honest, this is like I'm going to go after this. It's like a release for me. Like, I really like writing the lyrics for this stuff. Just Enough says, I've been listening to these jazzy mixes on YouTube. I can't confirm if it's AI or not, but it sounds pretty good. Pretty sure it's AI because it all sounds familiar, but I don't recognize any of the individual songs. I'll tell you, man, there's people out there, if you know how, like, if someone anyone can make an AI song. Anyone can make an AI song, right? And they can sound phenomenal. But then there's other people that are making AI songs that sound like real stuff, right? And that's the difference. And we talked about this in the past. If you like something, if it's AI or not, as long as you like it, it doesn't really matter, does it? Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, I like the artist, but I don't like his music. Like if it's a real person writing the songs, you're like, I don't really like the stuff. But it's a person writing and AI is making the music. If the music's good, who cares? Right? Who's it affecting? If I went up to somebody and said, hey, I need you, I want you to do, where is it? Hey, I need you to make a song about Battlefield, okay? About Battlefield, but I need you to shit on it. I need you to shit on Battlefield because Battlefield's back, but fix it, please.
But every time I pull the trigger, it's
Right?
like
Nobody's gonna make that
ghosts
song.
in the smoke. No suppression, no pressure. This ain't the old code. Grinding all night for that scope I need. But every upgrade feels like I'm planting seeds in concrete. Yeah, Battlefield's back, but fix it, please. Hey, hey, battle. But every
And
time I pull the trigger.
I think that the trick is make stuff that's like relevant, but also make it not like it sounds like AI. El Dente says, you're not thinking about the record labels, profits 30. What are you going to do? I mean, look, if something comes from it, I made a whole whopping $3 total after like 9 months. Like, I'm not doing it to make to make a living here. If people catch on and listen to it, it's good music. It is. It's good music. You want to cut the grass while you're listening to a playlist? Listen to my playlist. I'm telling you, it'll make you feel good. You're on a road trip, cleaning the house, put it on. You'd be like, listen to the words. The words, right? I hate songs that just repeat themselves over and over and over. All of my songs, every single one, is telling a story, right? Is telling a story, and the beats are good, right? They're good. They're catchy. Yeah, of course. But the artists are just making the songs that they want to make, right? They're making the songs they want to make. I mean, I got a lot of songs on here. We got 2 full albums. One album's got 19 tracks. The other album has 20 tracks. I think we have 7 or 8 songs that I'm working on. So I'll release the singles and then I'll put it together as an album. They got like 9 albums. That's awesome. See, are they good? Are they like a punk? I like doing it. I'm constantly always thinking about new stuff. I'm trying to come up with a Star Wars song right now, about Mando and Grogu, or the downfall of stars, which I have one, but I don't like it. I'm trying to think of a really catchy one. Oh, I appreciate that, Eclipse. The record industry killed themselves. Yeah. And look, new people are going to come up and make stuff, and people are going to listen to it. Right? Nothing rhymes with Grogu. You don't need to make it rhyme. You just need to tell stories. Unless you see you go you. I'll just say rock. I don't know the difference. Well, punk is like Weezer, Blink-182. You know, that's like punk. That's like the popular ones, at least back in my time. All right. You guys have a great rest of your day. I appreciate you very much. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
another promise wrapped in neon light. Everyone on it said it changed their life. Started up the game and watched it play. Guess I'm just along for the ride again today. Walk real slow through another empty hall. Character keeps talking while I do nothing at all. Hold the stick forward, that's the big design. 10 out of 10 every single time. And I miss those nights, failing 20 times. Now everything survives itself without me trying. Gaming lost its soul somewhere, buried underneath perfect scores and scripted air. I press one button, the game does the rest. Still they call it one of the best. Another 10 out of 10. Guess gameplay's dead again. Used to learn patterns, used to earn the win. Now the checkpoints save me every 10 seconds in. Can't even fail if I wanted to try. Just stare at the screen while the hours die. Journalists crying over every scene, calling boredom cinematic in every magazine. Maybe I'm broken, maybe they're right. Maybe games are movies now pretending they can fight. And I miss those nights, controllers in my hands, not just watching stories I bet.